Ladies and gentlemen, we are, as your fucking phone plays, Cam, come on, man.
My phone didn't.
It sounded like it was playing.
That's the Montana State versus Baylor game.
My shit didn't do anything.
I thought I could have sworn I heard it in the headphones. That's my bad.
I think it's that thing dripping.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we can salvage this still. Go to 10ktakesmn.com. There you can find a shop tab, and if you click that tab, you will be directed to the 10,000 Takes merch shop, which has all of the sports-related merchandise that you could ever want, including branded merch, or not branded, but I guess themed merch for each of our sports teams, for the Minnesota Wild, for the Minnesota Vikings, for the Minnesota Twins, and of course for our Minnesota Vikings as well. Just go to 10ktakesmn.com, click the shop tab, check out all of our very delicious merch. We got t-shirts, we got sweatshirts, we got hats, and not just serious stuff. We got a lot of funny stuff on there too. So once again, go to 10ktakesmn.com, click the shop tab, check out our merch today.
On this episode of It's a Bit, we're joined by Joe O'Donnell, Minnesota Wild play-by-play radio broadcaster. He's also done work with the Iowa Wild in the past, and plenty of other awesome stuff to talk about with Joe, including the Minnesota Wild. We're going to go through our Minnesota rundown, the Minnesota Wild, the Timberwolves. Jake's going to give a Gopher Hoops update. I guess Cam can do that too. We're also going to give our bits of the week, as always, and end the show by drafting the best things to do when the temperature is negative. So all of that and more on It's a Bit.
To the top, never going down, don't wait for the drop. Never stand still, that's the motto. Yeah, brand new bands for the auto. Oh, foot to the ground, full throttle. Big energy for the night like lotto. Damn, y'all talk lots, never this quiet. Life like a Seinfeld plot. Vault full of songs, all of them bombs. Something like a minefield guy. Boom. Get it, tickets running out quick. Bet it, never get it out big.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of It's a Bit, presented by 10,000 Takes. My name is Bossman, joined by producer Cam, Wags, and eventually journalist Jake. And I don't want to talk about the Vikings. We're not going to include them as part of the segment, but there's some interesting offseason shit that's already happening. And I know, Wags, with your bit, you'll get into it. But I just saw, by the way, this Dov Kleiman guy.
Oh, Dav or whatever? Dav, that's it.
He's like an insider, but no one knows who he is, whatever this guy. So he said, rumors, the Vikings are a potential destination for Broncos QB Russell Wilson. Don't be surprised if Russell Wilson is intrigued by Minnesota, assuming Kirk Cousins doesn't re-sign with the Vikings.
Rumors. Producer Cam might kill himself.
I know it's definitely not a rumor. We've brought it up on the show before, is that Russell Wilson will 100% butcher the Skull chant.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Again, he would try to make it his own. He'd try to do a creative spin-off on it, right?
Yeah.
Just like the Let's Ride. Let's Skull. I'm trying to think of what he'd even do, but it would be...
Danger Skull?
It would be way cheesier than anything Kirk Cousins has ever done his whole entire life.
Yeah. So was the Let's Ride thing, was that his idea, or was that the marketing team's idea?
I'm pretty sure it was Russ.
So he just comes up with that shit himself? That's not his job, is it?
He has the same brain as Jake Bringold. It's not a good one.
Cam's just already... Well, Cam, tell us why you're pissed at Jake.
He's on my shit list.
When isn't he on your shit list?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Because Jake, the person that has the attention span of a fucking mosquito, wants me to do a better job as a producer, make sure I'm changing cameras correctly and writing down clip times. Mind you, when I used to edit clips, one, didn't have any clip times written down. I just went and found them like a real man. And two, I was the one that changed my own scenes, and I never had an issue.
Well, I loved because he gave Jack the message to pass on to you.
I was so happy.
Yeah, what a little bitch.
To tell Cam to do X, Y, and Z. He also had the audacity to include in the text, also tell him to stop watching college hoops during the podcast.
Yeah, well, who are you?
Well,
you come talk to me.
He's
a snitch.
He was talking about it yesterday. He was saying that he notices sometimes you get distracted during the show on your phone, and then he tries to edit clips, and the cuts aren't right, so he has to have a hell of a time putting videos over. That's the feedback I heard, but I'm just the messenger.
So he's a snitch, is what you're telling me.
He's a narc.
Jake,
he could have texted you this information, Cam. Why is he going through Jack?
Talk to me like a man. You know what? We're not here at this point yet, but my bit is the snitch bit.
Oh,
and it's about Jake. He's a little bitch.
just jumping into bits already.
So when we get into bit of the week, I'll say more. But for
that's
now,
a pre-bit.
Jake's a snitch, and snitches get stitches.
Wow,
bitch.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
I promise.
I like it. Okay, let's talk about the Wild. So they're not great right now. I think they've lost. Well, they stopped losing.
They won a game.
They did win a game
on
yesterday
Monday,
against the Islanders. That was their first game in, I think, 6 or 7 that they had 1.
Yeah, they're 2-7-1 in their last 10.
Talk about
That's
that's
the heater.
that's the heater,
I
dude.
was like-
Oh, that's scared. I thought someone was crashing into our building.
It's the spirit of Jake Bringold. He knew that I was talking shit about him.
It's Jake from afar. Anyways, we're alive. So the Wild, they won 4-0 yesterday against the Islanders. Pounded the piss out of a team that's been pretty solid for what feels like the past decade.
You know why they won, right? Against them?
I mean, I was going to...
Because they are Island boys.
No,
Yeah, and they're
that's
bad.
been dead for years, Cam. Let's
They're
put it to bed.
bad at hockey.
So bad.
But they have Brock Nelson.
That's why at the beginning or the middle of April, whenever it is, they will be Island boys because they'll be on vacation. They're not going to be playing hockey anymore.
Oh my gosh, that
God.
the Islanders, they have
Hey, Zane, you want to hand me that protein shake over there? Fucking.
You just got to go with it at this
Someone's
point.
making a smoothie over there in the corner.
the Islanders have multiple Minnesota boys, don't they? They have
Yeah.
Anders Lee as well, right?
Yep.
Brock
Nelson.
Yeah.
War Road boy.
Did
Zach Parise.
ZP play for him last year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a free agent now.
Yes.
You know who should look at
The
getting
one
him?
Minnesota Wild. They need
Bill
some
Guerin.
depth right now.
You know
Bill
what I'm
Guerin
gonna
could
do?
Bill Guerin could get him for a
You know what I'm going to
discount
do?
right now.
I'm going to be a good producer, and I'm going to look up the Islanders roster and see if they have any Minnesota guys. And God forbid if I miss a camera switch in that time, I apologize.
Oh, you have it on me already.
Yep.
That heater's becoming a problem.
That's fine. We can go with it. It sounds like we're in the fucking
Sounds like
construction zone.
it sounds like, or someone's having diarrhea
Yeah.
before they get a mohawk shave.
It sounds
Why?
like it sounds like it sounds like the bathrooms at the Minnesota State Fair.
I just don't.
by 8 in the morning.
I don't understand why it's doing it now when we start recording.
Yeah,
it wasn't
we've
doing
been
that
in here
before.
for a half hour and it just started deciding to sound like a Ninja 8000 blender.
Apple Valley, Minnesota. That would be Hudson Fashing.
Oh yeah, that's
Yep,
right.
yep.
Got him.
But he's an AHL guy, I think.
That's fine. Anders Lee. He's on the NHL roster
He's a
right
taxi
now.
squad guy, I think.
Brock Nelson.
Yeah.
Zach Parise, maybe.
Where else? But there's got to be more.
Ilya Sorokin's from Russia, if you're wondering.
Ilya
Thanks.
Sorokin.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, yeah,
He's
but
from Russia.
that's still quite a few Minnesota guys on the team. But like, it makes sense. The only win Minnesota can get is against a bunch of Minnesota guys.
And against a team that I feel like can never score more than 2 goals. Is it me? I mean, I've cracked this joke to Billy G before. I feel like the Islanders can't score. I
No.
feel like they usually have elite defending and obviously great goaltending in last year's Vezina candidate, Ilya Sorokin. But I feel like outside of that, if you can run them up on that team, like you're going to win no matter what. They're not going to run them up on you.
They're like Virginia college basketball loves to do that. They just love to win low-scoring games. Some
Yeah.
teams just play that way, and it's boring as fuck to watch.
Iowa Hawkeyes football team.
Oh,
Yeah, yes,
God.
exactly. But
Forgot about that monstrosity.
I think the real reason this team really wanted to ball out yesterday was not only because they got back Jonas Brodin, one of their top defensemen.
Let's call him Jimmy now. I
Did
like
you know
that.
Did you know that's what the entire team calls him?
I didn't know that.
Everyone
No.
calls him Jimmy on the team.
I love that. That's a great. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jimmy and who else came back? Gustafson is technically back.
Kaprizov's back.
Kaprizov's back. So now all we have is Spurgeon and Letary on IR. But Marc-Andre Fleury got his 592nd win.
Is it
passing
52nd, right?
52nd, sorry. Passing Patrick Waugh in second most all-time wins. And thanks to him, now he's only 139 games behind Marty Brodeur.
I saw someone tweet.
We're almost there.
I saw someone tweet today, what are the chances that Fleury gets the all-time record? It's 0. He's
Zero unless he wants to play till he's 56.
Yeah, which he looks like he's about 25 years old actually. Despite who keeps calling him an old fuck? Is it Dewar or Duhaime? Duhaime.
Yeah, Brandon Duhaime called him 50.
Yeah. So, but he looks like he's 25 years old. He looks younger than some of us, man.
And he's playing like he's still in his 20s.
yeah, he's looking good out there.
He pitched a shutout in this game.
I think him not being like the sole starting guy the past few years kind of has helped him maybe prolong his career a little bit by not having to put his body on the line so much throughout the season. But
Yeah, it's not 50-50 anymore. It's more like 75-25.
yeah.
So,
I mean, here's the thing. I'm seeing everyone. I guess I'm seeing wild Twitter. Everyone is saying, "Hey, it's time to tank.
yeah,
It's time to rebuild." However,
Yeah,
who won the cup again last year? Sorry,
the
the
Golden
Knights.
Knights.
Knights. And oh gosh, was there a team last year? I thought that was like literally in the middle of the year was almost last, and then they ended up making it to the cup final or really close. Or am I mistaken?
That was the Florida
the
Panthers.
Panthers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The Panthers, made a.
They were in a
late
very
run.
similar situation as the Wild were a year ago. They were able to make a run and make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, right? That's why I'm always so iffy about tanking. We have 3.5, 4 months of hockey left.
Well, and you want to know the craziest thing? Pittsburgh had 2 games left to play, right? One of the games last year was against the Blackhawks, and I believe the second was it couldn't have been the Ducks, but I know it was another bad team.
Mm-hmm.
And all they had to do was win one of those games, and then they get a playoff spot. If they lose both those games, Florida gets that playoff spot. They lost both of those games. And that in the game against the Blackhawks, their last game of the season, there was a very soft goal given up with like 6 minutes left, and that changed the course of NHL history because if they don't score that goal and Pittsburgh wins in overtime, Pittsburgh makes it and Florida misses. So what I'm trying to say here is you can get that lucky to sneak into the playoffs and end up in the Cup Finals.
But what if it goes pear-shaped for the next 2 to 3 weeks again? Then do you tank? Tank for Celebrini? Tell me right now that's not going to be the sickest name in the NHL. Celebrini?
It's just it goes back to the age-old point of teams don't tank. They can't tank. They can only tank by being bad,
which we've been
on accident. I mean, everyone wants to win.
The nice thing about the draft lottery is they don't have to purposely do it. They can just get lucky.
That's what I was going to say. That's why tanking in the NHL is not really like a big thing. The Blackhawks, they didn't have the worst record last year. I think they had the 5th best odds to land Bedard, and look at them.
They're actually worse this year.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, the Blackhawks and the Wild both are 2-7-1 in their last 10 games.
Yeah, hey, look at that. Now we're being compared to the fucking Chicago Blackhawks.
We all know that lottery was rigged anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone knew. It's the year they lose Kane and Taves. Guess who comes marching into town? A new fucking superstar.
A guy who Corey Perry's fucked his mom.
Hey, speaking of a free agent, Corey Perry could help the Wild, eh?
Wasn't there some rumors about that? Like, recently I saw on Twitter people were saying, yeah, we need Corey Perry. I'm like, stop.
Yeah, that's
stop.
No.
Ryan Hartman's mom is in danger if you do that.
I never...
Can't.
I just chose
I'm well aware that Corey Perry didn't fuck Bedard's mom. I've said this multiple times. I'm going to continue to joke about it because it was that funny that the Blackhawks organization let that be a rumor for as long as they
did. And they had to comment on it.
Yeah, and that the fact that it took them 7 days to come out and comment on it. So
it's so stupid.
But yeah, I mean, it was super cool. I mean, the team mobbed him after he got the win.
Yeah.
You could tell. I mean, the whole building erupted for a team that's been 2-7-1 in their last 10 games or whatever. I mean, you normally would never see a celebration for someone unless they were a special player.
It was fun to have a reason to watch the game. Like, you knew something could happen. Like, it's been kind of boring to watch the Wild these last few weeks, especially with all the losses. That win, I think, was a morale booster for the fan base, and hopefully it'll be a morale booster for the team. Light a fire under their ass. Maybe they can make a run.
Yeah. So, I mean, Billy G came out and said he's committed to the roster. He
re-signed everyone at the beginning of the year. He better be.
He's never going to be one to say, yeah, you know what, we're going to mail it in the rest of this year. We're going after the Celebrini kid. Yeah, he believes in the team
because he might lose his job.
Yeah. He has. I mean, he's doubling.
I'm not saying we actually should. It was just something to throw out there to be devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also how, what am I trying to say here? How would we wouldn't be able to get away with doing that? We would simply not be able to just tell the players to stop trying their hardest. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's Jake.
Oh, that fuck.
Look who decided to show up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake distracts us a lot.
Jake, it's nice to see you.
No, it's not.
Cam's pissed at you, by the way.
Yeah.
For all
we'll get into it.
For the telephone game that.
Well, I forwarded along the feedback that you gave me that he needs to be cutting cameras a little better because it helps make clips.
Yeah. But instead of being a man, you decided to be a little bitch and tell Jack and not me.
I've told you in the past, Cam.
No, you haven't. Also, in protest, I'm not writing down clip times today, but I will start next week.
Cam has a mohawk too. Did you know that?
Yeah, I do have a mohawk.
That would be very helpful if you actually wrote down clip times.
I'll do it starting next week, but because you didn't tell me and you told Jack, then I'm not going to do it this week.
It's this shouldn't be like a bit. This is like actual stuff I need.
That's fine. I'll do it next week though, not this week.
The fans are seeing some inside baseball.
And you know what's really funny is that I'm doing what you do to everyone right now, and it's working. Because look at how red he is. Oh, he's rattled.
He just came in from outside.
Yeah,
it is a little chilly out there.
It's very cold, and my skin gets very dry this time of year, so it gets very red.
JJ, we're about to wrap up with the Wild here. Do you think that they can build off their 5-0 win and maybe start a run, or do you think it's tank time?
Is it tank time?
No, it's never tank time.
That's
They're
what I
within
said.
6 points of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Look at the St. Louis Blues when they won the Stanley Cup in 2020.
Yeah, well,
They
we were
they
talking.
literally 13 points out of a playoff spot
later in the year and they came back. and won a
Organizations
cup.
can't also tank. That's
No,
the thought.
I think that's a
on.
really dumb thing to do.
Yeah. Again, we have 4 months of hockey left. I think we were talking before you showed up, Jake, about how Florida, they were almost last place in the NHL around this time a year ago, and then look at where they ended up. They ended up in the Stanley Cup Finals, right?
Exactly.
Think
we're
about
fine.
think about if this roster was healthy this entire time, we're probably in a playoff spot right now. There's some teams that we would not have lost games to if we had Kirill Kaprizov, if we had Matt Zuccarello healthy, if we had Jonas Brodin, Jared Spurgeon, our starting fucking goaltender, Philip Gustafsson, instead of having to call up our AHL prospect who's just a little too young for the show right now.
Yeah.
We're probably in a different spot. But now that those guys are healthy, let's just go on a fucking run the rest of the season.
I think in terms of looking at an NHL roster and looking at like hurt players, I think the Wild had over 10 players hurt like from their main roster at one point. I've never seen that in the NHL ever.
Yeah, it's crazy. The other thing I was going to mention too is we might have to go to the Middleton T-shirt game. Have you seen that T-shirt the Wild are doing where it's just his tarps off thing and that's just the shirt?
Oh, that's sick.
It's
They
just
have the Marc-Andre
nipples.
Fleury night, too.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone for that.
What about
of
the
course.
cowboy one? When was that again?
Cowboy
They have
one?
a wild cowboy hat. I want that.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I want that. I'm gonna.
It's got to be like us against Nashville.
I'm gonna be a good
something.
producer and look it up. And if I miss a camera switch, it's fine.
Also, the Waggle hat.
Oh, they're doing a
fantastic.
Waggle hat.
They have a Waggle hat.
Yeah,
in
Waggle
April.
that night, yeah.
In
Yeah.
April. It's like April 4th, but that looks fantastic. I need that. I want that. It's like the Napoleon
Are
Dynamite.
you for real?
No, look it up. They actually have the...
No, you're not for real, or yes?
No, like legitimate.
I'm looking it up.
April 4th.
Yeah.
Do they have a picture?
That's got to be us. The cowboy hat has to be like a game against Nashville, right?
So they're like special ticket packages.
right.
though,
So
right?
you buy a
Like
special ticket, and it's not like a giveaway like what we got
promotional
on. Yeah.
nights. Love your melon.
It's
The
like when we
tarps off
did-
one's
The tarps off one is great. It's got his heart monitor, his nipples,
that is
and
sick,
then
yeah.
His
yeah.
nipples.
The nipples are important.
But look at this. It's sold out. Fuck.
Cowboy hat?
If anyone's going to the game January 5th against Nashville,
Oh, it
and
is
you
against Nashville.
Don't
yeah.
want
that
the
makes
cowboy
sense.
hat? We'll pay.
Premium.
That's pretty sweet. Cam will pay you $50 just like he paid some guy at the Twins game for his Carlos Correa bat.
How much did I pay for that? Like $10?
No, you gave that guy $50.
I did not pay $50.
You,
for that, I
no,
promise you.
gave
20, I
you
think
gave
it was
him-
20.
It was either 20 or 30.
Maybe 20. I
It definitely wasn't 10.
no, probably not.
And then
Where
after you
is
got home,
the-
you're like, that was a fucking waste of money. This
Yeah, it
bat is
was
stupid.
I do that with all my purchases in life. Oh yeah, this is sick. The Waggle one, and
Yeah.
there's still tickets.
What about the tarps off one?
There's an Unreal hat too.
Unreal.
That's funny.
Yep.
How did they pull that off? They could do both of them.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I guess it depends on who's willing to...
It's like selling
I don't know.
Pepsi and Coke at the same place.
I think the rest of the show we'll take off cam. You just want to keep reading those events for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
No, this is a free
We
ad.
were talking about
we don't
it.
do free ads.
We were talking about it.
Anyways, anything else you guys want to talk about on the Wild? I think they just got to keep winning. Congrats to Flower.
Yeah, Fleury. I can't believe, this will be I'll more so go into this with my bit, but, at the game, I was hoping he was going to get that. I was going to witness that 552nd win in person on last Monday during Cam's Mohawk night, but they lose 4-0. Mm-hmm. So they happen to do it when I'm not in attendance. So
He did play when we went on Saturday, but it was
Half a
bad.
game.
It was because
Well-
Gustafsson let in 3.
yeah, I wouldn't even blame him for a lot of those goals.
was such a-
Their whole team was just.
That might be
Still bad.
Saturday's game might be the least fun I've had at a Wild game in my entire life.
I'm sure you already talked
I'm
about it a lot,
so
but
happy
that
I
was the
didn't go.
worst hockey game I've ever been to.
I'm usually not like the heckling type who yells shit out, but I was yelling, "This team sucks!" we were getting pissed off.
It goes to show you that's literally what an AHL roster versus an NHL roster.
Seriously,
It was, and I lost my, and I'm fine about it. I threw my my reverse retro themed winter hat
that's
that I
right.
got for free. I chucked it when Nick Bustad got a hat trick.
And of
But
course
it
was
didn't hit the
Bukestad.
ice. It just went
Did you get it
5
back?
rows down. No, I probably should have, but I didn't.
I forgot Nick
I don't care.
Bukestad got a hat trick against the Minnesota Wild.
You know,
That's tough.
yeah, we former Gopher Blaine guy, right?
Minnesota guy,
and then full on,
But
and we had him for a
bad.
few couple years. So
of all players,
The only thing worse
Nick
would
Bjugstad.
be having Benino score a hat trick against us.
that would be sabotage.
wait, does he play for Arizona?
Nah,
Or no,
I-
who does he play for now?
He plays for the
Sharks, or he did
Ranger-
last year. Here, we can
he
search
plays
it.
for.
Who does he play for
I
now?
think it's Pittsburgh. Again.
Well,
No,
if he
back in Pittsburgh.
is he, if he ever,
no, he plays for the Rangers.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what I thought.
I will tell you right
Crazy.
now, if he ever scores a hat trick against us when we're there, we have to do the Benino
Oh
bit.
my God!
I miss that bit so much.
Yeah,
That was such a fun
Holy
bit.
shit! He's getting paid 4.1 a year.
Wow.
that's more than we could afford.
Yes.
Well, that was in 2019.
He's getting
Oh,
paid more than
that's
Brock
what that's what
Purdy.
the first thing that pops up.
He is getting paid more than Brock.
A lot of
Purdy.
people are getting paid more than
Nah,
Brock
he's
Purdy.
just getting paid $800,000.
That makes a
In
lot more
2019,
sense.
he was getting paid 4.1, and that's when we had him.
He's making just as much as Brock Purdy.
The Wild never have a good contract ever.
Except, yeah,
The first Hartman contract was good. That,
that
the Wild
was
signed him to.
that was a great one.
But besides that,
Yeah. It's not an easy game. All right, let's talk about the Wolves. A brutal loss to the Celtics on Wednesday. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. That was one of those games where I think they were up 9 with 2 minutes left, and you thought to
Choke.
yourself,
It's also-
all right, this is our game, and then Tatum goes off and just hits like 3 threes in a row, and then we lose in overtime.
Even though we choked, it's like the one team that like I don't mind it happening against because they're like
they're number one in the East, right? Yeah.
we're number 1 in the West. So yeah, it sucked. Like we should have won, but we did end. We split with them, so it's not too bad. But you still can't give up a lead like that.
Yeah, that was. I mean, and there was no Rudy playing. I think Mike Connolly was benched just to get rest. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good game considering that you're missing 2 key players. But that one still just wanted to make me carve my eyeballs.
But
out
like,
to
imagine
watch.
how much more pissed you would be if we were up by 9 in against like the fucking Hornets and
Yeah.
we lost. Mm-hmm. Like that would be even worse.
Yeah, and I am glad that we followed it up by beating James Harden's latest super team in the Clippers on Sunday. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, like that's
Paul George.
Paul George. That's Harden's newest project that's just going to end up failing.
Just a bunch of old dudes.
It's funny because Harden was the last person to go there. But did you see Russell Westbrook making fun of Gobert? Because Gobert airballed 2 free throws in a row. Westbrook, I fucking hate him.
Well, did you see Westbrook trying to fight a Timberwolves fan before the game? That
Yeah.
clip that came out?
He's a clown, and he's a loser. I used
Yeah.
to like him at OKC, but like he is a loser.
Yeah, there was a Timberwolves fan heckling him, and he was like, "Come on down here. Come on, say it to my
Yeah, he's
face."
so stupid.
And it was funny because the guy walked down and did say it to his face.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You're not about to assault a fan. I don't think that's
Right.
in the cards.
Your name's not Devontae Adams.
Yeah, or
Ron
Draymond
Artest.
Green,
Or Ron Artest,
Malice
remember?
at the Palace.
Yeah. Him and Ben Wallace just fucking
Yeah.
throwing haymakers at fans.
Have you
yeah.
guys looked at the Wolves home and away splits? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
16-2 at home, 12-9 away.
That's kind of the nature of the NBA.
Which is great, though. I mean, everyone would expect you to say a way worse name on the road or
Yeah.
a way worse record, but at the end of the day, 12-9
Still winning.
is still not bad
Yeah,
at all.
that's-
They're
yeah,
still
but
above
that's really good.
500.
They're a fucking powerhouse at home. And I think they
So-
stole U.S. Bank's home field
Yeah.
advantage, right? Because
Well,
we didn't
like
have
you
it this
said,
year for the Queens.
Gotta
Every
sacrifice
good,
something.
Every good team's been kind of the same when it comes to that. Like Boston, 19-0 at home, by the way.
Crazy.
12-9 on the road.
I mean, how does it affect how does the visiting team affect it so much by being on the road? Like, what advantages does a home
it's
besides
just-
crowd noise?
Especially with basketball, it's just a real thing. Like with the NBA and both in college too, because for some reason in basketball they feed off the crowd so much, and you're in your own environment. You feel more comfortable. Like basketball is such a confidence thing too. Like you need confidence to make a shot. Like it's just like a kicker in the NFL.
So you're
doing this every possession. Like if you're shooting a wide open 3, you're overthinking it. If you're on the road, you're trying to pull off an upset. Like
I wonder if little things too, like taking free throws and not having everyone trying to distract you and stuff, that has to.
that too.
And travel, I feel like, can affect it too.
Oh, yeah, that
You
is
jet
true.
lag flying, stuff like that, instead of sleeping in your own bed the night before and just you feel
Yeah.
probably more relaxed, honestly. It's
Also,
just-
the biggest thing is in basketball, you're closer to the fans than any other sport.
Yeah, they're
So
like
they
right
can
there.
actually get in your head, and it can bother you.
And then you can get them kicked out of games like LeBron and
yeah,
That's only when they're losing, though. Have you
you get
noticed
into
that?
fights.
what's his name?
Westbrook's done it.
Westbrook's done it. I can picture his face. Kyrie Irving's done it too.
Yeah, he has.
Remember the one guy who was like throwing bits of popcorn at him? He's like, "Get this guy out of here!
Yeah, like
He's assaulting me."
You only see that really in the NBA too. It's so fucking annoying.
Except
like-
for last night's game, an Eagles fan dumped a bucket of popcorn on Nick Sirianni, and then he just walked out. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I did.
And then he just walked out like, "No, I'm leaving. They're like, "No, buddy, you're doing more than leaving. Like, you're going to the clink."
They're taking your picture. You're never welcomed at another NFL game ever
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
That wasn't
Eagles
just a
fans are
tad.
idiot.
stupid. I'm so happy they lost.
Yeah,
God,
that
same.
was
Good.
and
God.
Cowboys and the Cowboys too.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's-
happy about that one.
Well, I hate seeing the Packers win, but like it was kind of like I don't know, catch-22. I don't know what the fuck
If
the
the
term
Packers
is, but
would have won by 5 points, it would have been fine. But the Packers had no business looking as good.
no,
as
they
looked.
didn't. But I love seeing the Cowboys lose.
Yeah, well, I was also. It's like a win for the Vikings because the Packers, they're not going to beat San Francisco. At least it doesn't look. I don't think
They-
they're going to
they
beat
shouldn't
San
beat
Francisco.
San
Francisco.
So who knows? Anything could happen. I think San Francisco's going to win. I think that maybe because they won a playoff game, they might want to keep Joe Barry as their defensive coordinator, who everyone knows fucking sucks. And on
Yeah.
top of that, it's going to make their draft position weaker. So I think in the end, it's actually good for the Vikings that the Packers actually got the W because I honestly don't think they're beating San Francisco anyways.
I legitimately hate to say this, but I hope the Packers win. Because I want the Lions to go to the Super Bowl because I just think it would be cool. And if the Lions have to go to San Fran, I don't like their chances. But if they have to play the Packers at home,
Dude,
yeah.
Well, but you know
so-
you know who kills the Packers in the playoffs? The Niners.
Niners.
The Niners
That's what I'm
do
saying.
every
They're-
time.
They're
yeah.
the kryptonite.
They're
yeah.
not going to win.
No.
But
Yeah.
it would be kind of cool. Like, imagine
Going,
if we got like a Lions-Texans Super Bowl. Are you joking?
Yeah,
That'd
it'd
be
be
insane.
different.
I'd be so jealous, incredibly jealous. Though, if I was super jealous when I saw the Lions win. I was very jealous because, like, you build a team around a quarterback like Jared Goff. That should have been us and Kirk, and this is the way the year was trending.
Oh, I just-
if
I
Kirk
was-
didn't get injured.
I was when
sucks
We
to
were all
watch.
actually together watching a lot of the Packers Cowboy game, and like, there's never been a time where like the Vikings have been in the playoffs and have gotten like back-to-back pick sixes or something. Like
No.
we've never had anything crazy like that happen. You know, it's just I wish that we'd have one game
we-
where we're given 14 points and can just coast to a
Oh,
victory. That'd
like
be
with
so nice.
What Joe Flacco did against the Texans.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Texans
When we
look
win,
good.
when the Vikings win playoff games, it takes a miracle, or we win in overtime.
Yes.
Like it's never easy. Or
When the
yeah.
Vikings just win games, it's never easy.
I know.
The only time it was easy, it was 2009 against Dallas.
that was it.
Yep.
Shit down
Brett,
at the
Brett
Dome.
Favre, yep.
We
I was
literally
at that
we
game.
we did throw fuck
Favre.
them. Were you at that game?
I was there.
Nice.
Tony Romo was dating Jessica Simpson at the time, wasn't
he
wasn't
was.
he?
And I think
that
she
was
was there, too.
Of course, you know that, Jake.
Might be,
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Maybe she was there too.
she might have been there.
Dude, she was she's in like a few episodes of that 70s show as Kelsey's significant other, Jessica Simpson.
Yes.
And I forgot, like, her prime was unreal.
yeah, she was.
Yeah.
I don't know what she looks like now.
who's
but
Neither
she
do
was
I.
Super hot.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She was.
Jessica
Boing.
Simpson, yeah.
Yes.
She was like 2009 Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Truly. Like
Ashley
obviously-
For a bit.
Ashley Tisdale, remember her? Mm-hmm. Prime.
She worked
Oh, yeah.
Sweet Life with Zach and
Yeah.
Cody.
She's still kind of hot.
Yeah.
Last time I saw her, but she was sweet like
It was
Zach and
like
Cody.
someone on Twitter posted a picture. I think I've mentioned this before of Vince Neil these days. You know, he looks rough
Yeah.
from Motley Crue. Someone said, "Who is this? Wrong answers only." And I said, "Ashley Tisdale before all the crack."
Does she do
After all the crack. No, but Vince Neil looks like if Ashley Tisdale got
Did
into
crack, yeah.
the bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of that, just I don't know. This is totally off topic, but it just reminded me of the South Park episode where they do the crack baby basketball.
Oh,
I
yes.
just watched that.
So funny, man.
Oh, the
So
Crack
funny.
Baby Basketball Association.
Okay, really quick. Last few things on the Wolves. R.I.P. Timberwolves Brazil. I'm not sure where he went.
Yeah, what the fuck?
There's some rumors flying around. I don't really want to talk about them because
We have a great blog on 10ktakesm.com that actually goes over the whole Timberwolves Timberwolves Brazil situation. So if you actually wanted like a little insight on it, our guy, I think it was Case.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Case wrote a blog about it. I think last Friday.
We'll also you guys seen Case's TikToks?
Oh yeah,
No.
the cold case.
Case has
cold
been.
case beers.
By the way, our blogger Case is a fucking rock star. He's been blowing up on TikTok. What he does is he drink. He
Oh, this
calls
is the
it,
Wii Bowling guy.
Yeah, we
Yes.
bowling guy. He calls it cold cases. One of these has over 1.5 million likes on.
You wanna know
TikTok.
something?
Dude, the
He
Amelia
gets-
Earhart
he
one
gets-
was great.
He gets hammered and then tries to solve an unsolved mystery. And he literally drank 12 PBRs on Saturday and said he was going to solve the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. And he's like, "Yep, OJ did it." And then he just like clapped his hands together again.
The Amelia Earhart one was great. He's like, so that bitch crashed,
Or
he's just hammered.
or the one where he did
Zodiac Killer,
The Zodiac
first
Killer. He
one.
just goes, "Yep, I can't solve it."
I can't tell him he's still at large. He's
I,
just hammered.
You know what's funny is that guy. So I haven't been paying a lot of attention lately on like who's been joining 10K, but that guy followed me on TikTok and I saw that he's been blowing up and I've been watching him. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Didn't know he was part of 10K till just now.
He also
Yeah.
he lives here in downtown St. Paul too.
That guy's
he's
awesome.
like a few blocks that way.
Yeah. And then Donnie, Houseboy Donnie, he sent me that Cold Case episode 2 video. I'm like, yeah, that guy blogs for us. No, he doesn't really. Like, yeah, it's
This guy's hilarious.
It's so funny, very creative.
Yep.
Unrelated shout out. Just find. I think it's a wee boy on
W
Is it
on-
Wee Boy?
on TikTok. I think it's
Let me look.
WII.
That's hilarious.
Or it's Wee Baby. I think it is.
Still,
Wee Daddy.
Wee Daddy. Okay,
Wee
his name is Kaysen. But anyway, so yeah, read the
Wee
blog.
Daddy.
I'm not sure what happened. Apparently, some of the other Timberwolves accounts said he's going to be coming back, but
He's just making a grand entrance. If you want to see an absolute murder, the day that you're listening to this or the night you listen to this, the Timberwolves play the Pistons.
so I was going to mention, for the love of God, don't lose this game, because if you lose this game against the 4-20 whatever,
4-36.
the 4-36 Pistons, it's going to haunt us the rest of the year.
How does a professional sports team even manage to go 4-36?
well, what did they start? Didn't they start 1-27?
Bro.
Yeah,
something like that. I don't even-
And there
that-
was a game where they were up on the Celtics, who are the best team in the NBA. They were up like 20 some at half. They still ended up losing that game.
I don't understand how you're that bad.
You got to imagine what are the ticket sales like for the Pistons right now while
And they
while you have the Lions doing historic
Oh,
shit.
no one cares. And they have a player that's, I think, actually really good in Cade Cunningham. And they still are ass.
Wasn't he first overall pick?
A couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
What is Cam? You would like this joke? What is Detroit Mercy on the court?
Horizon League
Small
joke.
ass college
That's
in
a
Detroit.
Horizon
Shut the
League
fuck
joke.
up, Jake.
Oh,
No, I liked it. Jake and I are friends again,
Oh.
guys.
No, you're not.
because I made a college basketball joke.
Yeah.
I came.
Is it Detroit Mercy?
Yeah, it is.
I came across this picture today, and it showed like one picture was like where we started, and it was this picture, and the next one is where we are now, and it's like us first in the West, right? And it's where we started, and this picture right here of the Minnesota Timberwolves losing 50-4 to the Toronto
yeah.
Raptors.
That had
God.
to be. That what was that 2010, 2009?
It's a young Anthony Wiggins in the picture.
Oh, our 2000
Our
That's
savior.
hilarious.
Wait, that's Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah.
So that was like
50-4. I
That's got to be a typo.
No,
Or like a visual.
Are you sure it's not Photoshop? Zoom in on the.
Gotta be. Or like they accidentally put it up there.
the teams
Dude,
are so bad
I
back
wouldn't
here where
put
I'm
it
not
past me.
surprised.
Can't you go up and look up like old box scores?
I'm sure
You
you
can,
could.
but I don't know the exact date of this game or
See,
anything.
looking
but-
at the fascia of that scoreboard from Fox Sports North, that had to be 2009. So start
Yeah,
from
that's-
there.
let me see the
We can have
pictures.
Kaysen do the
the
investigation
cold
into
case.
it.
Yeah, we'll have
Say,
have
let me
him
look
drink a
again.
case of
This-
McGoldens.
Actually,
in
it
there.
might not be. I thought it was Wiggins. It might not be. Here, can you turn?
I think that looks older than Wiggins.
It might be. It just looks like a young Wiggins.
Or is
from
it
the side.
Corey Brewer?
Okay, actually.
That
If
is
it's Corey
not-
Brewer, or is it like
That's not Andrew Wiggins, and it's gonna bother me on who that is.
that had to be
But you
before
can see
Andrew
why
Wiggins.
I thought it would be. Kind of looks like him from the side.
Can you send that picture?
I
to
just
me and I'll
googled
do some-
Timberwolves losing 50-4.
I did too, and I
50
didn't
to 4.
find it.
Yeah, there's not.
Um,
Show results of 50 to
let me
4.
look
There's
up
nothing.
Andrew Wiggins rookie.
Go on. Who tweeted that? Go on the responses of the tweet. Do you remember?
Cold shooting.
I don't. I just thought the
'Cause
photo
some-
was funny, and I
people,
just saved
people are
it.
usually pretty good on there. They might debunk
That might
it.
actually be Wiggins.
But I would not put it past me if we were losing 50
Now,
to
I-
4.
I-
Lumber.
no, I
Here's the
wouldn't
thing.
either.
The franchise has been so bad for so long until the last couple of years, where it's completely believable that they
Yeah.
would be losing a game 50-4. Well, I mean, there's like her normal record would be like 10 wins in a season.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've had single win seasons.
Yeah,
single
so-
digit
So
win
we'll go
seasons.
to guys. This is great.
2008.
You guys can continue. I'm gonna do some research here. Zane,
Let
Yeah,
put your
producer
you,
Cam
phone
for a
yeah, we'll
second.
put a
Go
pin
for
in
it.
that, Cam. You got it. All right, final thing I have on the Wolves is, yeah. I mean, do you guys think like this is gonna sustain throughout the playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I said this last week. We're this far into the season. Good teams are good now. You're not fake this far into the season.
okay. Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm just saying
No, I
there's
know.
a lot of people on
People
the
are-
the mainstream NBA who think that we're a joke and we're still gonna be frauds at some point.
Stupid because you need to just enjoy it.
I know.
Because I think this is exceeding expectations.
It's more of just the Minnesota sports narrative.
It's just like I don't want to hit on Gopher basketball too much longer.
Well,
but like
we're gonna hit on
take it
that.
away. Take it away.
Well, no,
We
I
have to
was
talk.
saying in that it like well, I know Cam was texting me last night. Yeah, it sucks that we lost to Iowa because now we look like we're competing, but they've far exceeded my expectations. I thought they were going to start the season like 0-15 and Ben Johnson was going to be fired. So I'm fine with where they're at right now because I don't think they've taken leaps from last year. But like the Timberwolves, they've taken major leaps.
Yeah.
And I think you can't sit there and sit in that mentality, they're going to crash. That's Minnesota sports, but like you got to just enjoy the ride.
I'd even say the loss to the Celtics that we had last week, that's an encouraging loss. That was on the second day in a row of playing a game, and we choke it away on a back-to-back against the best team in the East. I mean, that's...
And it was in Boston, right?
It was in Boston.
And they're 19-0 at home.
And again, it was a second day of a back-to-back. So, like, even that loss was encouraging. That's something that the Timberwolves would never do.
No, and they do it in overtime. So, yeah, it was... you don't want to say there's good losses, but, like, they've been consistently playing well, and it's weird to see, honestly. I think people are just, like, they don't know how to interpret a Timberwolves team. Like, they're almost malfunctioning. Like, what is this 0-1 0-1? Like my computer code is crashing. I can't fathom the Wolves being this good.
That's literally what's happening. That's like any time though that we make it anywhere, and our own fans are usually the ones doing it.
And I'm guilty of doing that sometimes. Like with the Vikings last year, like they were 13. I mean, I think people knew they had an easy schedule, but right before at Tom's Watch Bar, I was sitting there cheering with people, and then I was like, we're gonna lose. And then people said, you just said they're going to lose. I'm like, did I? I don't remember actually saying that. And it's just like...
That's because you were blacked out.
Yeah, I was already before the game and, predicted it. But
yeah. All right, that's it for Minnesota sports. Before we get into our interview with our good friend Joe O'Donnell, let's give our bits of the week, our signature jokes or funny bits. Let's start with Wags. What do you got?
So my bit this week is going to be the national holiday bit. A new national holiday for the United States of America was just announced, and it's going to be July 12th. And that is when EA Sports College Football is going to launch. 10 years in the making. The last game came out in 2014. It's going to be 2024 when this one comes out, July 12th. And I hope we have nothing going on with 10K because I'm not doing any 10K shit for a week then.
I'm counting down the days.
I have been playing NCAA Football 14 for the past 4 days nonstop because it's the greatest game ever. And I seriously am contemplating taking a week off work when this comes out.
Yeah, it's again. I think
shit.
all of us have been waiting for this for a very, very long. And I know just Jay Cam and I. I'm not sure about you, Jay. Did you ever play the NCAA games growing up?
I did, but I'm not a big gamer anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll get it, but
I remember Jake would like create like a fake school like Minnesota Tech, and then
Or Minnesota State fighting. What was it? Fighting. Sharp grouse.
Yeah.
Sharp-tailed grouse or something. But no, I would go so in-depth, dude. I would spend so many hours on those games.
I loved when a new one would come out because you would just let me have your old ones. So that's kind of how it worked.
I would always buy it. I pre-ordered them, even though I didn't need to pre-order them.
Jake just singing along to the soundtrack of the game.
Oh, dude, it would always be like the fight songs. So I would just be like,
That's right.
What fight song is this? And then my dad's like, that's the Ohio State one. I'm like, damn it, but so catchy.
I was really big into who was on the cover of the 06 game? Was that the Michigan?
Desmond Howard.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the one I played a lot where you could like change around your dorm.
It was
room
Desmond Howard.
where he's doing the Heisman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Desmond Howard.
Yeah.
wait.
I played the fucking shit out of
that's
that
Charles
one.
Woodson.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
I'm stupid.
That's
why I got
Desmond. I always get Desmond Howard and Charles Woodson mixed up all the time. So
Yeah, but I think we're all fucking pumped for this. I would even be down. I'm not sure how we do. Cam, just throw the fucking shit.
well, dude,
Just throw it.
you need
I'd
to
even
do.
be down. We should stream. We should have.
Dude.
We should have like a 10K tournament. To stream
Well,
it or
do that,
something.
but I know like Big Cat. Remember, he would always like stream himself being a coach. Like
During COVID?
I will.
Yeah.
That's what I'll play. Is I'll play the coach mode, recruit, and
Yep.
play at Heisman level. And like if we somehow could stream that, in some way, like even from one of our houses, from one of our places, like that would
I got
be
shit faced and made a this weekend and made a 14 made a cornerback that went to Janesville High School because that's where my roommate's from, Donnie.
Oh, Road to Glory.
And I even set up the schedule as like all schools in Wisconsin. It was great.
You should have named him
New
after.
Richmond
You
was
should have
in there.
named him after Donnie.
Yeah.
You should have given him a big old afro.
You should just say Donnie.
Houseboy Donnie.
Houseboy Donnie. First
Should've.
name Houseboy, last name Donnie.
Donnie fuck me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Daniel.
Daniel Donahue. Donnie fuck me too.
No, Daniel Donahue. Daniel fuck me too.
Yeah.
They
Whoa.
probably won't let you say fuck. They'd probably prevent that, right? You could do F me too, though. That's still rhyme.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, what do you? That's discrimination, right?
Yeah.
I do have a quick honorable mention bit as well. This is just called the fan GM bit. I am so sick and tired of just seeing all Vikings fans
hate it.
attack each other about what the next move should be. Yeah, I'm fine if you have an opinion, but attacking other people over their opinions is so dumb. In the end, you have zero fucking say. The GM's going to do what he wants to do along with the head coach. It's going to happen. Just
Unless-
let it happen. Let's.
Dude, I
Unless your
fucking hate it.
opinion is that we should get rid of Kirk, then you're a moron.
Yeah, you both read my mind. I almost did that as my bit, and then that too is like there's objective and subjective opinions here, and the objective opinion is that Kirk is a good quarterback, and if you look at his stats and look at how he was before he got injured, plain and simple. But I'm getting so sick of all the Facebook group pages and people putting shit out. We're getting Russell Wilson, or we should trade for this pick, or Kirk has one playoff win. Yeah, fucking Matthew Stafford didn't have any before he won the fucking Super Bowl. So that's irrelevant. And everybody photoshopping Michael Penix in a Vikings jersey, JJ McCarthy. Like, okay, first off, let's calm down.
The
It's
JJ
January.
McCarthy one is a felony.
That's like drafting Christian Ponder.
Yeah,
You should-
let's stop.
That should be illegal on the internet.
Yep.
Is JJ McCarthy in any NFL gear?
But they're literally like they're sitting on their ass at their construction job, acting like they're GM. Like you want to set up a call with Kwesi? Like, I know we can have our like quarrels and opinions against some moves he's made, but these guys have been in football and in this business for years. They have way more knowledge and an idea what they're doing than I ever will. You know, I can have an opinion, but.
I do love the pre-draft speculation, though. As you know, I love the NFL draft, so that just gets me hyped. So it doesn't
Hard.
bother me as much, but it's the people that just like say things that are just stupid.
Well, shameless plug of a general manager out there who one time did listen to fan suggestion and questions. Can you guys guess his name?
Chuck Fletcher.
No.
Oh, well, he used the bit.
He used an app.
He used an
that
app.
People on Twitter use for fun.
Bill Guerin.
Bill Guerin.
Billy
Bill
G.
Guerin. People forget that he and in collaboration with us let fans ask him questions.
Kwesi too.
Kwesi did that?
No, Kwesi was
He
bullied,
signed
was-
Reisner,
Was
yeah.
bullied by Vikings Twitter to sign Dalton Reisner.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I'm sure he was ahead of the game. But that's kind of the bit, is that he was getting bullied. But
that would have been funny if that would have been true, by the way.
Yeah.
And Chuck Fletcher, I think, is a GM who would allow the internet to bully him into making decisions
Yeah.
if he was using a trade app.
You know, some people are saying that Bill Guerin turned his back on the boys.
Yeah.
no, no way.
Should we start calling him Uncle Bill?
Uncle Bill.
Hey, Uncle Bill.
Next time I
He's-
text
he
him,
ki-
hey,
yeah.
hey, Uncle Bill.
He kind of is our uncle
He'd
at
be
this
like,
point.
what the fuck? Don't call me that again.
Don't look at me.
Next
with
time
these
he comes
crazy
in,
eyes.
next time he comes on the podcast, we need to ask him like straight
This
up.
is
Can
our
we call
uncle.
you Uncle
This is
Bill?
our Uncle Bill.
Yeah.
Or he'd probably be like, I don't give a shit.
God, why the?
All right.
He
Why
just
am I
calls
here?
weird. Let's be honest.
Producer Cam, what's your bit?
My bit is the hashtag Mohawk hockey guy bit.
Oh, no.
Ever since I got this mohawk, which I desperately hate, and now it's grown out a little bit to I look like a Marine, and then I just eat
Nice.
crayons all the time. I've played 2 hockey games, beer league hockey games. I'm on a fucking heater. I have a goal, 2 assists, a stupid amount of shots on goal, stupid amount of time on ice. I'm a hockey guy now.
And learned to stop yet?
I stopped once yesterday.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And
Wow. See, the Mohawk
and
is making a difference.
I don't know how I did it.
Aerodynamics.
I don't know how I did it, and I would like to know how I did it because I can't remember how to do it again. But I like almost came.
Can you imagine if Cam was just like, on the
What
ice 'cause
happened?
he just stopped?
I learned how to stop.
I learned how to stop.
pizza.
Cam, do you like when I tweeted out your stats from last
Yeah, it was
Wednesday?
great.
I said TOI a lot because we don't have anyone tracking our stats.
And I updated it today with my game on Sunday.
TOI after 2 games, even more. Whoa.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Average
I don't know.
shift time.
it's weird.
Sometime.
I'm just
yeah. 5 minutes.
for you.
I'm
Cam.
more aerodynamic, maybe.
That's what I said. I think you're
I'm like a swimmer. I got rid
Yeah.
of the hair, so I'm faster. I'm stronger, and I'm quicker.
Yeah, your
there's
hair was
less-
like a
There's
like
less
a
oxygen getting caught up in there.
But I just look stupid. But it's fine.
That's fine. You're wearing a helmet.
I should be wearing one at all times.
Real question. Do you feel cooler out there on the ice? I
I'm
mean,
freezing.
you are?
At all times, even not when I'm playing hockey. Like this whole week, like I'm breaking out on my forehead right now because I've been wearing winter hats. Like my head is cold as fuck at all
It's
times.
still cold. I
You're
remember
used
you
to having a
complaining.
fucking Daniel Boone squirrel on your head.
You seriously did look again like a full on pelt on your head.
Yeah,
It
was
did.
great.
Like when you look back on it, like I didn't think about it at the time, but then when you look at before and after pics, it's like, yeah, shit, you had a full on blanket.
Okay, so I'm growing out my hair. You're growing out your hair. I know
growing
we're
out
all at
mine.
different lengths. Zane is clearly already growing out his.
I'm
Cam's going to start growing it out again. There should be at some point once we all have super long hair, some sort of bet we make where the loser has to rock a man bun for a week.
Oh,
hell
no.
yeah, hell yeah.
That would be
Maybe
the
that's the loser, the
ultimate-
underdog.
It could be the loser.
Dude, I
also-
couldn't do that. I'd rather. I don't know what. I'd rather do a lot of things than wear a man bun.
decapitate yourself.
I
and just not
might.
have a head.
What about,
I might.
What about Kiss a Man?
Oh, man.
He thought about it.
consider
Dude,
it.
I don't know because man buns they just
I
fucking.
don't know. In a weird way, I could see you own it. You know what I'm saying? Though, doesn't Jake seem like a guy who could have a man? Like if he was talking to you, you could picture him with a man bun.
I think anyone can really rock it. Like, you like the first thing people think is that guy's a douche, but then once you see him again, you're kind of like, all right.
Every
gonna
guy
lie.
with a man bun that I have encountered is just a fucking pansy.
Should we? I mean, I've seen Sarge
sorry.
put it in a bun before. Is he?
Yeah,
a
but he's
pansy?
doing it as a bit, dude. He doesn't normally wear it as a. I picture the guys that are always wearing it with a man bun, and like they go get fucking. They're vegetarians,
Vegans,
and
probably,
vegans, and they
actually,
get
yeah.
tofu and.
I'm
No,
not gonna lie,
I'm not
I
about
had-
that shit.
When I had super long hair,
Tofu just caught a stray.
Jesus.
Sorry.
I had super long hair
too-
during Thanksgiving, and my sister was born and French braided my hair. I looked like a fucking Viking, kind of. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Damn,
It
you
was
should have
kinda
rolled
sick.
with that during the games then,
Then you
Cam.
could have done the
kinda
skull
sick.
chant.
You
Yeah.
do look like you have strong Norwegian ancestry.
I do.
Yeah.
Little Norwegians.
I'm also really excited to see. I by far have the shortest hair here right now. I'm really excited.
Weird, yeah.
I grow hair like a chia pet, so I think I might beat you guys to like the
Chia.
longest hair.
Maybe.
Probably will.
I grow my
Grows
hair
fast.
grows way faster in the summer, so right now it's
That-
going to
well,
grow
that's
very
normal.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Because
no vitamin D,
because of the sunlight.
no bits, no
You
sun
take
bit.
a lot of vitamin D.
Jake takes
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot of
all the
vitamin
time.
D via the esophagus.
Orange juice.
vitamin dick.
Oh,
Oh,
How even is vitamin D even in orange juice, dude?
That would be vitamin
no,
C.
no, but like the orange juice I've been getting, I get a lot.
Does
in
it
the
have
winter.
extra vitamins
It's
in
a
it?
vitamin D plus C
plus
Oh,
vitamin
okay.
cock.
orange juice, and I'm like, oh, that's healthier or healthy. It's a way to get vitamin D in the winter when we're living in Seattle for 5 months.
You take
so-
vitamin D in the A.
Yes,
I
In the
heard
AM,
that.
of
orange
course.
juice injections.
I heard the other day from our friend Barstool Chief that there was a streak in like maybe it was the mid 2000s or late 2010s when Chicago didn't have sunlight for like 2.5 months straight.
It's just
That's
Dude.
that's just winter in the Midwest.
It's and look like I thought like they exaggerate about Seattle, but like I think it was like last month, one of my Uber drivers was from Seattle. And I don't know, we got in the conversation about it, and I'm like, do they exaggerate about like how cloudy it gets and how rainy it is? He's like, that's why I moved to Minnesota. Like I wanted that Midwest, not hot all the time weather, but it's literally horrible over there. It's just cloudy.
I spent a week in Seattle. It's cloudy all day. The sun comes out for 15 minutes to a half hour twice a day, and then it also rains for 15 minutes to half hour like 4 times
Gotta
a
have some
day.
green grass there.
They
though.
said
So
that the
dumb.
joke is no wonder why Kurt Cobain killed himself.
Oh, Jake.
Seasonal depression. No, I know
Gosh.
that's bad,
You
but
guys,
yeah.
you guys ever watch iCarly growing up?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
They were based in Seattle.
Yeah.
I remember that's how I learned about the rain for the first time.
Yeah.
That it rained all the fucking time.
I didn't even know they were based in
and
Seattle.
realized
You want to
I
buy
didn't
again.
get it either.
You want to buy a bagel?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the bagel guy.
Cam, I'm
Link
surprised
Gibby.
you knew a reference to a TV show.
Yeah, that actually is.
I have two actually.
That's
Wow.
not the Western African Conference.
Never heard of that conference.
Well, it exists. What? Yeah,
WAC.
it's expansion.
I am not gonna lie.
Expansion conference.
I watched a little bit of the Eagles Bucks game last night, but I really didn't care that much. Do you know what I did instead? I watched North Carolina A&T play Hampton
I knew it.
University.
That's
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed watching the Eagles get their ass kicked every second
that was great.
it was on.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cam, are you jealous? I'm going to the Q in Iowa this weekend to sports gamble an entire weekend.
You are?
Yeah.
To Diamond Joe's?
My brother. No, the Q. It's apparently another sports book somewhere else.
A little bit, but I am saving up right now for my March Madness trip to Diamond Joe's, where I'll be there for fucking 6 days.
JJ,
That's
did-
insane.
Did we
6
want
days?
We should maybe
Talk-
go for a day or two.
I was gonna say, are you
during
guys
that,
gonna come
yeah.
down?
Are you?
Yeah, I was thinking
are
I could
you-
maybe handle a day down there.
I'm sorry. Are
same.
you actually
Yeah.
going to spend a week down there?
Yeah, me and
Speaking,
my dad are.
Speaking of seasonal depression, you're going to
Well-
be in a casino.
Oh
for
no,
6
it's gonna be
days
the
and-
greatest thing
Well,
ever. It's the best weekend there.
If you're into sports betting as much as you are, Cam, I understand it. But for me, like
6 days though, that's a
It's-
week.
it's
Diamond
5 days,
Joe's in the
5
middle
days.
of
5 days.
nowhere.
5 days
But
is still
it doesn't
a lot
matter
of days
because
to
it
spend.
is literally the greatest sports spectacle
I
in the
know.
world.
And this is just me. I'm going to need to get out and do something.
We
after
were
for a
just
bit,
we were just
and
talking
there's
about
nothing. It's
we
just
were just talking
feel
about darkness
flat.
and sunlight.
It's literally
You know what I'm
just
gonna do?
come and goes in flatland. Down
I'm gonna
there.
live on Bush Light and Subway for 5 days, lose all my money, smell cigarettes in the air. Fuck, I might even start smoking cigarettes. They have a cigarette vending machine. It's
Yeah.
at my service.
They
it's
have,
gonna be fantastic.
Diamond Joe's does have good food at the one of the.
You know
Oh,
what's
wait,
not
no,
good?
No, wait, never
They
mind.
do
I'm
have
thinking
good
of a
food. The
different
burger place is fire. They also have a steakhouse. Hitting that joint up after I hit a super mega whale parlay.
Hey, we can bring Gavin down there and we can celebrate his birthday.
You know,
he-
actually, he could swing that. I was talking to him about Vegas a few months ago because this was before we decided not to do the trip
Yeah.
this year to Vegas. And I was like, hey, man, like this, we're going to plan on going March Madness dates. Here are the dates just so you're kind of ready. And then his response was, I don't know, man. Vegas broke me last year.
Because you kept losing your wallet every
I was
Lose
gonna
his
say,
wallet, his phone.
he could lose his wallet at Diamond Joe's, and he could put another $500 on black.
Yeah.
Don't get the Glizzy Gladiator or the Glizzy at the Diamond Joe Casino unless you need a cover dog, because desperate times call for desperate measures. But
Cover dogs.
the Glizzy at Diamond Joe's, they put it in like a fucking air fryer. And when they take it out, it's about 6 times the size that it originally was. It just blows up, and it's not good.
Wow.
But
Some sort of science
they
experiment.
They just dry it out.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a freeze-dried Glizzy. But if you need a cover dog and you desperately need to cover, then you got to eat one.
And
I don't
you're
make the
on-
rules.
You're on day fucking 6 of the casino floor.
Yeah, you're just
Jeez, with-
shitting SpaghettiOs.
with MILF Mike.
He won't be there.
Oh,
My
he won't?
dad.
Jake and I will. Jake
His
and I
name
will
is
find.
Mike?
Yeah, we gotta try to
it's
come down
Milf
for a
Mike,
day.
dude. Yeah,
Milf
well,
Mike.
Mike.
That's what we say
Your dad's in a
externally.
committed relationship, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Very committed.
Okay, okay.
yes.
So we don't have to be wingmen.
Oh yeah, we can't.
Yeah.
Well, we can.
We can be wingman for Cameron.
Yep.
Oh, no,
Oh.
we can for Jake then, I guess.
Sure.
Jake loves Iowa women.
Yeah.
Well, Jake also
I've
loves-
been down there before. My dad worked there for 8 years, so I have experience.
Well, and Jake,
Sort of.
you have experience picking up hookers and in casino floors as well.
But not finishing the job.
Oh,
Yeah, because you didn't realize she was a hooker till she's like, yeah, guys, she was a hooker.
Dude, so
Like, I told you that 2 minutes
I
in.
was
Boing.
going through the 10K page. I can't remember. I was looking for something back in the spring, and I was just clicking on old stuff that intrigued me. And one of them was a podcast clip where Jake goes, "Yep." So I was talking to this female for the night, and I realized she was a hooker. And and that's like the podcast clip just starts with that, and I'm like, "Holy shit! If you took this out of context, we tried to sit there and tell you for 20, 30 minutes that she was a hooker, and you were just." That was when you were stuck in your ways and pulling out $20 out of the ATM.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep. Need to just pull out just $300 or $400 before I go down there.
dude, you kept.
But I was
forgot-
also
la-
very
last
drunk.
year. He kept doing that. Like you
I
literally,
was
you,
so
dude,
pissed.
you paid all your cash and you keep going to the $7 ATM and getting $20.
I know.
And you were
bills.
getting pissed at us when we were trying to explain it to you.
I was
That's not
very.
efficient.
I know. I was very hammered and just very stuck in my ways. I was very drunk. But then, but also, I was. It was just funny because I just picture that because I was also dressed in like the Mike Hawk stuff.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And just wearing a gopher visor, just drunk.
Why did we do that? Why'd you do that?
I don't
for a
know.
day? Do you remember why?
I have no idea.
He's
college
special needs.
college stuff was going
Oh
on.
yeah, because
so-
I'm down there supporting the Gophers,
Even
even
though
though they're not even in there.
Even though they were demoted to the Minnesota High School State Championship basketball.
yeah, even though they
tournament.
wouldn't have made it into the tournament if it was expanded to 200 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right, Journalist Jake, what's your bet?
my bit is the jinx bit. People commonly refer to people as the jinx, if they're bad luck. And I've been called the jinx over the last few months and by some other folks, and I have to probably agree with them now. Going back to the Vikings season, 0-4 at every game I went to. I know that was common for a lot of people, probably being they only won 2 games at home, but still the 4 games I go to, they lose in miserable fashion. Actually, all very close games. And then I realize now the last 4 wild games I've been to, they've lost, and I've been to 3 now within the last 2 weeks, and they were outscored 14-1. And the last 2 wild games I went to, they got shut out. And in the 2 home games that I didn't go to in that 5-game stretch, they tie the Flyers in overtime, or they lost in overtime, but still. And then they win 5-0 in the other game I don't go
just
to on
doesn't-
Monday when Fleury gets his 552nd win all time.
Just
So
doesn't apply to basketball.
The team
the one Go for Hoops game I went to,
And the
Well,
Timberwolves.
the Timberwolves game.
and the Timberwolves. It's been kind of bad though. For
Statistically
Wild and
speaking,
Vikings.
though, the Wild haven't been doing you any favors.
No, they haven't.
It's not like they've only lost 3 times in the year and you were at all 3 games. Like they've
I
been
know.
losing a lot,
Yeah.
by a lot.
But
of
it's
goals.
just funny within the last week and a half, the 2 games I don't attend, they play much
Also,
better.
Yeah.
With the Vikings, you're not missing much either. I had season tickets and saw 2 wins. So
That's what I'm saying,
It also
but
kind of
still.
evens out. Like last year, I think we were both like 4-0 at Vikings games. So
Yeah,
it kind of evens out now.
But
You
I
are
will
still a
say,
jinx,
I will
'cause you
say, I
suck.
still have to be a jinx because like I realized we were both at like the last 2 Minnesota playoff elimination games with the Wild against the Stars, Vikings against the Giants, and then and then carried into the season. And haven't witnessed a Vikings win in like since 2022
at home. Yeah, we were lucky that we saw the W in
Holy
Lambeau.
shit, you went a whole year without seeing a win, didn't you?
Yeah, for Vikings because we went to the Giants playoff game and then
Well, you saw the one in
Oh,
Lambeau.
in Green Bay.
oh yeah, you're right. But that
Kirk-
was on the road
and Kirk got hurt.
And Kirk got
Yeah,
hurt, so that felt like a loss.
Yeah, that was not a win.
That felt like a
that
loss.
wasn't a win.
So they finally win, but then our starting quarterback, who has never been injured his entire career, gets injured on the best team that he's been surrounded with.
Don't
maybe in
ever
his
go to
career.
a game again, please.
I know, dude. It's been getting really bad
Just-
over the last year, though. That's why I'm saying it's the jinx bit.
And to make you feel better, how about the thousands of dollars you've spent
Yeah.
on this?
Dude, it just been on top of drinks and everything. and
As a human being, you're operating at a loss.
I'm operating at a loss right now. I think the Minneapolis I think the profit I had gained with the Minneapolis Miracle is now faded.
Yeah.
That was 6 years ago.
Game 3 against the Stars last year was fun. at the
That was
X.
fantastic.
Funnest game I've ever been to.
Me too.
Yeah, one of the best atmospheres.
Best sporting event.
It was.
Maybe next to Buffalo.
And Gopher football only won 2 Big Ten games at home.
No.
Yeah.
It's been a rough
Did I
year
even
for the
witness
boys,
one?
man.
No.
at home?
It's been a rough one for the
Wait,
boys.
maybe they beat Michigan State, Nebraska at home.
That's right. Okay. Witness that.
All
That's
right.
good.
I'll cap us off here before we get into our interview with Joe O'Donnell. I have the St. Paul. Or wait, how did I word this?
High key presented by 10. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Presented by
The,
10,000 tokes?
Why did I call it high? Oh, like hockey. Okay.
Oh, okay.
High key. I outsmarted myself there earlier. High key presented by 10,000 tokes. So on Thursday or Friday, see, it's already made me stupider. I drank a cultivated CBD THC sparkling soda for every goal that was scored in the Flyers Wild game, and there were 7 goals scored. Yeah, Zane's drinking one right now. They're very tasty.
They're delicious.
They're very good. I drank 7 on Friday, as you can tell. I think I killed about at least 6,000 brain cells doing that because I had to struggle to even get through the name of the bit. But it was fun. I had a great time watching hockey. It was the Snowmageddon, what I called it. It was freezing temperatures, blustering snow everywhere. And we were playing the Flyers, which is just a very actually a pretty good yet scrappy team. And I think we should have gotten that win. I think we were up 3-1 at one point. And I thought, you know what? Maybe at this point I'm done drinking these for the night and I'll survive without downloading a pizza on the internet. And then the Flyers proceeded to tie it up, and then there was overtime, which meant I was going to have to drink another one. So I got ridiculously fucked up on Friday, and I had fun. But
Did you say downloading a pizza on the internet?
yeah, that's the bit is like when you're so high that you try to download a pizza on the internet.
Did you order one?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I actually was able to.
Surprised.
I was able to stick it out and not because once
Damn.
once I start eating when I'm high, it does
You don't
not stop. So I wasn't about to do that.
Also, I always feel. I guess it's their job and they're voluntarily working. I feel pretty bad ordering food when it's like negative
did it.
10.
Yeah,
And there's a blizzard going on. I don't care. I'm
Ken's
like,
like,
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give
No,
a fuck. I have a
I feel
mohawk.
bad too because I used to be that guy that delivered. But on Friday, I did it subconsciously. Like I
Then you
forgot.
weren't even thinking about it.
And
Yeah.
I ordered Pizza Ranch because I wanted their chicken because it should be called Chicken Ranch and not Pizza Ranch. And I once he got to my door, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm so sorry, and I gave him like an extra $5.
Well,
I was like,
but
shit.
also though they need tips, don't they? Isn't that a huge part of their
Yes,
income?
because they only
So-
make
Pizza
minimum
Ranch.
wage.
Exactly. So, but I didn't end up doing that. I ended up toughing it out and not getting the munchies. Although I finally watched the movie Joker, and by the end of it, I was so blown away that it was not related
Bro.
to the Joker in The Dark Knight. I
You
literally
should-
thought it was a prequel.
You know what we should
Oh,
do?
it's not a
I want to
prequel.
do an experiment. I don't know if it would change anything, but we should get super high and then Jack, you and I, like at your apartment one night, and then try a Zyn. What do you think would happen?
That sounds terrifying.
That's how you get to my level and
That's how
call
you
the
call
ambulance.
police.
Should we
By
try
the
it?
way, I have to say before I'm down to try that. But before, I should have prefaced this before. Thank you to Cultivated CBD for sending us so many of those THC seltzers. Like,
We love 'em, man.
This fridge is full. My fridge at home is full. I'd give some to Jake, but he'd call the military to raid
Yeah, I might. I need to. I think Cultivated did give us a ton at that Nick.
Yeah, Christmas party.
Of that Christmas thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still serve
Nick-
stickers?
If you open up that refrigerator,
There's
it's
10 in
it's-
the
I
Yeah.
guess I
20
was
in the
willing to
fridge.
bring one to my fridge and try to do it within the confines of my apartment.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but I
that's
might need
smart.
to chain my door shut and chuck my phone somewhere.
See, I think you should have someone with you
But
when
then,
you do
but
it.
then I'll wake up the next morning and everything will be like,
Jake will be high till
Broken.
Friday.
yeah, oh my
Or you'll
gosh,
be,
I'm
you'll
actually
be
so
high
scared.
for like 7 days
I just
straight.
need to sip it and just see what happens and just be like, okay,
See,
don't
the-
chug it.
The toughest thing is you want to chug it because they taste so good.
I know that's the thing.
So me and my girlfriend got edibles like last weekend, and we didn't look at how much milligrams were per edible.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
And they were like extra strength. I didn't even. My girlfriend bought them. They were extra strength, extra dose, but they're 425 milligrams per gummy.
That's legal to sell?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
so,
what the fuck? That
so-
would kill me.
So we both ate it, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm feeling it right now." And then Haley was just like laughing nonstop, and then I was like, "Oh my god, if Jake were to take one of these, he would kill himself."
but maybe if I hit like a threshold that's so high, I just don't even
Or
exist.
you just fall asleep.
and maybe I'll just fall asleep, or my brain will just be in
420.
Yeah, I'll when I get home, I'll send you a picture of the
Interdimensional.
bottle, man.
That's
it's crazy.
That's insane.
What
I
are you
might
doing?
I might become
That's
a
like
whole
a
new
horse
person.
tranquilizer.
Tranquilizer.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and here's the thing: if you take it at 6 p.m., the next morning when you're working, you'll still feel it. So,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
that's my
that-
thing with edibles is I
feel
have
that
them kick
for
in
a
the
year.
next day. Every
Yeah.
time.
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah.
5 milligrams.
It's because most edibles last over 24 hours.
Yeah.
I've
Awful.
actually read.
I might be the first known death of overdose of edibles if I take that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
It's
hilarious.
probably
It's
self-inflicted.
like the
shit.
the college basketball player who OD'd from caffeine.
Yeah,
Matthew Meyer.
Yeah.
dude, you can overdose from caffeine.
You can overdose from anything.
Yeah, you can.
I view
He
that
almost
as a
died.
badge of honor.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
He's like, he's like, Matthew, what'd you do last night that you overdosed on caffeine? He's like, played video games and had 5 Monster Energies. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Anyways, those drinks are really good. I drank a ton of them. The Wild still lost. I didn't download a pizza. It was a fun night. It's watching hockey and getting high. It's the High Key presented by 10,000 Tokes and Cultivated CBD. So, all right, let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll get into our interview with the Wild play-by-play announcer, Joe O'Donnell. All right, folks, welcome back to It's a Bit. We got a special guest in studio. We're joined by Joe O'Donnell, Minnesota Wild radio play-by-play guy. And Joe, you are the voice of reason, at least as of lately, to get us through games to the point where we actually want to listen in the car, because it's been a rough year. So thanks for joining us in studio. But I guess what do you have to say for the Wild this year?
We're just going right after it, huh?
Yeah, right into it.
Why not?
Thick
Why
of it.
the elephant in the room?
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a little bit more challenging, obviously, in the last couple of years. I'd say that I didn't know what was wrong with the team early. Like when they were struggling under Dino, they seemed slow. They seemed, I don't know, just teams are coming in like Columbus comes in and they're skating circles around the Wild. And, if it's not for Gustafsson opening night, you probably get blitzed by Florida. Like it was just, I was like, what's going on, right? Like it's not the team that we saw the last few years. And then John Hines comes in and he's there for like 8 hours. And that night the team looked completely different. And I joked to Tom Reed at like a commercial break that night against St. Louis. I'm like, man, all 20 new players look different, like look better. Like nothing changed player-wise. So I think the group had lost its confidence a little bit. I really liked the way they played initially, obviously under John Hines, getting back into the playoff picture. And then I think the injury bug just caught up with them. And I've seen this a lot, like at the AHL level, obviously. When you have 1 or 2 guys out of your lineup, you can get by for a game or 2 or 3. But when you're dressing guys that are typically at a lower level for more than a couple of games, it tends to catch up with you. So I think that there's been a little bit of that. I did, obviously, great win the other night to help Flower get second all-time in the wins list, surpassing Patrick Waugh. So that was a pretty cool moment. I'm just hoping they can build on it now. It felt like that was an emotional win that maybe they can use as a springboard. We'll see how it kind of translates down the stretch here, but you got half the season left, and you got a lot of work to do. I think there's like one playoff spot in the Western Conference if I had to bet. Like
Yeah.
if you look at it, there's probably like let's figure Edmonton's going to figure it out and stay in the race, right? So they're going to get in. So that's 7 teams that are pretty much cemented, which means you got like 5 or 6 teams, including the Wild, battling it out for one spot with like 40 games left. So it's going to be a dogfight, but this team was kind of scuffling a little bit last February, and they found a way to get in. They got hot, and if you look at the schedule, there's some cupcakes down the stretch for Minnesota. So I'm just hoping they can find a way to use some of this emotional spirit from this and the good vibes from the win to get Flower into second all time and maybe go from there.
What was it like being, having the chance to announce NHL history?
That was
Monday?
awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. It kind of sucked that it took so long, right? I think the players felt that pressure too. I think Fleury was feeling the pressure a little bit, especially when he beats Columbus to tie Patrick Waugh, which feels like an eternity ago.
Yes.
And then you go, 8 games or whatever, 7 games without a win. Like, it's just, I think it was probably really just like almost the elephant in the room for those guys. So nice to get it done. Really cool to get it done via shutout. And I thought it was a really nice win for the team. And, one of those moments that hopefully, I hope I did it justice, in the moment, because as a broadcaster, you only get one shot at that thing. You don't want to screw it up. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that it came out well from a radio perspective. I thought it did, and obviously it'll be something that I'll look back, hopefully years from now and be like, man, it was pretty cool to be a part of.
Yeah.
Now, how was it having to announce the opposite of that? Like on the Saturday night game against Arizona, Jack and I were
That's
there.
the worst hockey game I've been to in my entire life.
I mean, how can you?
Jake and I were so toxic that night.
That was
it was
bad.
so hard.
I chucked
Is that
my.
why you guys were tailgating the next day outside?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're on to the Vikings now.
Yep.
No.
That was as bad as it's been that I've seen in person, right? I've only done, 100 some wild games at this level, right? But even taking into account minor league games and it's not often your team gets blitzed at home when you just don't see it coming, right?
Yeah.
I thought, all right, to lose that second point against Philadelphia sucked, but they've got some vibes. If they beat the Coyotes, a team that I think they could have beaten, now you're starting to maybe build some momentum on this 3-game homestand. I did not see a Nick Bukestad hattie coming. If you had that on your bingo card, you could have made some serious cash. So
Plus 6,000.
Yeah.
Nick Bukestad hat trick,
Yeah.
let alone a goal.
gosh, he had 7 shots. It was like the Nick Bukestad revenge game.
Yeah.
But that one absolutely was brutal. If I'm
Jake-
being completely honest.
Jake threw his free stocking hat about 4 rows down. That's about as far as it made it.
I tried throwing it on the ice, but it
They don't
didn't
travel
make it.
well.
No, they don't.
That
I
was a
should've-
tough look. You give out. I thought the hats were cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that so many of the fans were wearing them. Go back a few years ago. I remember they did a hunting camo hat, and all the fans were wearing them at the game. It's just a cool look when you give something away, and the fans are like, "Oh, we like this. We're gonna rock it during the game we're at." And then to see about 50 of them end up on the ice was, if I'm being honest,
It was it's
a little depressing.
That was a little goofy.
Especially when it's someone on the other team who scored the hat
Yes.
trick. It's one thing when someone on
it
your
was
own
more
team
like,
scores.
I'm so sick of what I'm watching right now. I'm just going to launch this out there and say you can have your hat back.
Yeah, here you are, and this guy's from Minnesota, so hey,
Yeah.
hats up.
Yeah,
So-
it almost reminds me of when I think it was Patrick Waugh back in the day on his first 8 shots, let in 7 goals, and then he finally made a save, and the Montreal crowd erupted, or whatever crowd
That
it
was
was,
his last
Colorado.
game in Montreal.
Yeah, and then the
got
crowd
both,
erupted
yeah.
and cheered him on, and he gave the hand wave. That's kind of what that
Yeah.
felt like. Someone on the other team scored a hat trick. Let's all throw our hats on the ice and congratulate him.
Yeah, Waugh gave him
'Cause
the
we
old,
suck.
yep, thank you.
And then
he-
Fleury did one of those
yeah,
too,
he
right?
did, Yeah.
Yeah.
That's never a good. Listen, you guys know, being from Philly, Philadelphia sports fans are very hard on their athletes. You don't show up and work hard, you're gonna get booed, and you're gonna get booed to high hell.
Yeah.
So I get it from a fan perspective when you're just frustrated, you've seen enough. I thought the Minnesota fans, I'm gonna be honest, they were typical in the sense it was there was some angst in that game, but it wasn't just fire coming from the fans. You guys are too nice sometimes.
Jake and I were
I
I'm
heard
usually,
you too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah,
I'm
we were
usually,
yelling
I'm
when it's
usually not a
quiet.
yeller at all, but I, at the top of my lungs at one point, was like, "This team sucks!" That's a level of frustration I have not reached in a long time. I mean, when you get killed by the Stars, it's one thing. They're a good team that clearly is, outplayed us. But when you lose like that to the Coyotes and you let that was a boiling point for me where I'm like, this is unbearable. To
They
watch.
were all smiles on their bench. Dumba's first game back, and it was like a laugher for them. Yeah, I was stunned by the lack of response in that hockey game.
Yeah.
It was 3-0. Second period starts. I was wondering if Fleury might come in. Gus didn't look himself, obviously coming off injury, and then to become 5-0. Then Fleury comes in. Then early in the third, they get a breakaway at 6-0. It's just man, there wasn't a lot of wasn't a lot of sugarcoating, honestly, you could do during that broadcast. Like, they just got outplayed.
Yeah, big time.
How do you keep your energy up when the team is getting crushed 6-0? Like, I feel like that's got to be a tough
I mean,
job.
I would just tell you the next time it's 6-0 in favor of the opposition to tune in and tell me if you think I'm doing a good enough job. It is hard, man. I'm not gonna lie, like, because I want the team to do well, right? Like, I've been with this organization a long time. I consider myself a Wild fan, right? Like, but I try to be objective. Like, if they're getting their butts kicked, like, that's always been my MO. There wasn't a lot that Tom Reed and I could say that night that was like a positive, right? Some nights it's like, hey, Volsted's in net, like, he's got a bright future. They pushed hard in the third. They just, Dallas was just better tonight. Like, that game against Arizona, there wasn't a whole lot of positives to take out of it or try to, again, like, I don't want to be, for the listener, I don't want to be that homer. Like, that's just not my MO. So you're going to know most nights when you turn on the radio if the team's playing well, if the other team's playing better than the Wild, or if it's just not there tonight. And this group, I give them a lot of credit, from Foligno and Middleton and, just the core group of guys that have been here now a few years, Spurgeon, Brodeen, like, there's not a lot of nights where they've rolled over. Like, they might lose 4-1, but that they didn't quit. And I'm not saying they quit against Arizona, but it was just one of those games where it felt like they had nothing in the tank. And it was a back-to-back, so there's a good chance that maybe they just didn't have anything in the tank.
Yeah.
And I know you can't say it on air. Bill Guerin could say it, but, they played like shit,
Yeah.
And that's something that you can't
I might have been
obviously say,
thinking
but
it.
You can think it, and all the fans are thinking it. We're all thinking it, but you obviously can say it in a more polite way.
But as athletes, like, they know, right? Like, they're Zuccarello called it embarrassing, and that's probably, at that moment, it's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, they're adults. Like, you don't have to tell them that losing 6-0 against the Arizona Coyotes is
a good effort.
You shouldn't be happy.
Yeah, they're
about
not
that.
mites. You don't have to put up on the board what they did well, or move your feet.
Well, and I
attack.
I've told the story. I play Wednesday nights in Braemar and Edina, and we played after the Forest Lake and Edina Junior Gold teams played each other, and I think Forest Lake lost by like 4 goals, and they were in the locker room next to us, and they were like hooting and hollering, like
Bumping music,
like nothing happened.
Bumping
so it's
music.
like,
was that like a win for them, a moral victory?
I guess it was, and
matter?
I watched 3 of the goals. They were not good goals that they let in, and these kids were like, I don't know if someone gave them a ton of cocaine or something, but they were just lighting up that locker room. Cam was there. It was hilarious.
That's just junior.
I was there too. Yeah,
that's junior gold hockey culture in Minnesota. It's just win or lose, they're partying, they're having a great time. Like, there was more students who showed up to the Minnetonka Jay Gold games and the varsity games when I was playing hocky.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah,
it's the camaraderie.
I'll have to
man,
come
just like
watch
that.
sometime. I'm right down the street from Braemar.
yeah. It's a good barn, but long story short, like, you don't have to tell the Wild not to, like, they're not going to go
Right.
and do that if they lose 6-0. So for people who,
By come watch, I mean chirp you.
Yeah.
Incessantly.
People
Right.
calling in a fan line. Yeah, they didn't look good tonight. Yeah, okay, thanks. Sure, thank you.
Great insight.
Yeah, great insight, sir. You want to take over my job? You want to take over Joe's job? No.
Well, I was always going to say it's so impressive to me how you guys do play-by-play in the fastest sport in the world. I mean, what's the key to keeping up with all of it, and being able to not – I feel like if I tried that job, I would get behind. I would get caught on one thing, or I'd miss someone's name, or I'd mispronounce something. It'd throw me off, and then I'd be – like, how do you keep going in the moment?
It's just repetition. I mean, I've told people this before, like, if you do anything 1,000 times in your life, at some point you think you'd get okay at it, right? Like, I've called – well over 1,000 games at this point, not at the NHL level, but it was a little bit of, I don't want to say concern, but one thing on my mind as I was starting to get the opportunity to fill in for Bob Kurtz a little bit a few years back was like, all right, am I going to have to change my style because the game's just that much faster now? It's not a knock on the American League or the ECHL where I called games for a few years. It's like, that's just a reality. Like, they're snapping it around the power play. It's hard to get every little detail in. Sometimes you can't. I've always tried to be super descriptive, and I think somebody chirped me on Twitter the other day calling me a skate-by-skate announcer, and it's not really their cup of tea. I think that was a shot at me for being too descriptive.
But you're on the radio.
Was it-
You have to be.
Yeah, but I literally, like, sometimes I'm like, I probably could have done without, like, the puck's now in the neutral zone, and I'm still being like, Jake he toe picked in the corner, right? Like, I probably could have just glanced past that one pass or, the tip out to center and just gone with the rest of it. But I try to literally give you everything, right?
Yeah.
So At times that can be hard and something that I think I've adjusted to, but that's just been my style. Like just go with it, try to be as on top of it as possible, and paint the best possible picture.
Was it really quick? Sorry, was it a fat guy holding 2 fish? Because that guy's chirped us before for our K-Fan show.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look
You
at
remember
his,
that guy?
his avatar.
He said that
Where
you
is,
said 100% too
Oh,
often.
I said 100% too
He
much.
emailed Abbott and he DM'd us and said that guy says 100% too often.
It was like Bob from St. Cloud or
He was a
something.
fat guy holding 2 fish.
Yeah.
So if you see that guy,
Yeah.
you're not his first victim.
We know him. Yeah,
I like that.
we know that. We know that dude. I wanted to ask, speaking of like past places that you've announced a lot of hockey games. You've announced at a lot of places. I mean, out of all of the places that you've worked, what has been the most interesting?
Well, so I started interning in Reading, Pennsylvania, like an hour from where I was living outside of Philly. That was like 2003 out of college. Did that for like a year and a half, but I just drove up for their home games because Reading's not a town you really want to spend much time in, if I'm being completely honest. But my first full-time job was in Boise, Idaho, and Boise is an unreal town.
The Steelheads, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is like almost 20 years ago, but college town, Boise State's there, great bar scene, young people, like growing town, right? It was a lot of fun. Then we went to Houston because I went up to the American League, right? So that was the next step logically in the chain of trying to get to the NHL. And I probably could have done without Texas, if I'm being completely honest. 2 of our boys were born there. We have some friends back there. The food was great. But outside of that, like, we weren't shedding tears leaving Houston. But Des Moines, Iowa was a spot where, we bought our first house. Our youngest son, Christopher, was born there. We spent almost 9 years there. Like, I love Des Moines. I will never say a bad thing about Des Moines, Iowa. So I think we've been pretty lucky. I've been pretty lucky, I guess, and unfortunately drug the family around with me. But Boise was a lot of fun, and Des Moines, if any of you folks that are checking out this podcast are in this, Twin City area and you haven't gone 3.5 hours south, you're doing yourself a disservice because it's a really fun downtown and, kind of a city on the rise.
Yeah, I feel like Des Moines gets shit on. Like, and I wanted to. I was
You
gonna
shit on them all the time.
I have shit on Des Moines. That's because they're near Iowa City.
Why do
okay?
you feel like that?
But yeah,
'Cause
where did
you're
Des
the
Moines?
one.
Where did Des Moines hurt you?
He's just mad that the Hawkeyes beat us almost every year in football.
And they're near.
Well, that's impossible to happen because they don't score points.
Right. Well,
but they do.
I know a lot
Because
of
it's
Hawkeye
Minnesota.
fans, and they are used to teams kicking field. All they do is kick field goals. I feel like they'll win 6-0.
yeah, it's nuts. Their punter was like half their hype video when they made the Big Ten championship. Look at the video; it's half its punts because that's half of their plays.
He's just pinning
That's
them
their
inside the
highlights.
Pinning
20.
them deep. Yeah, that's their highlight.
It's
It
a
is their
special teams
highlights.
masterclass down
Yeah.
there.
And their defense and their big quarterback that looks like he should be a punter.
He does eating
For a
challenges,
D3.
I bet,
He does.
for sure in the offseason.
He does.
Sorry, Zane. I cut off your question, and it's bothering me that I did that. So you go ahead.
That was a while. I actually have another one though.
Okay, there you
actually.
go.
Are you a Philadelphia Eagles fan then?
Well, after last night, I might not be anymore.
Are you going to skip Bayless all of your stuff in the trash? or
You want to talk about a tailspin and just embarrassing. Like, embarrassing.
You had some fans wearing paper bags yesterday.
Honestly, I don't blame them. But a lot of Eagles fans, because I listen to the sports radio station back there at WIP. I was listening on my drive here to meet you guys, putting myself through that misery. We saw it coming. Because for 7 weeks, for whatever, the 49ers took their soul. It pains me to say it, but they beat the brakes off them so bad that I don't know they ever recovered from it. I mean, to go 1-7 down the 1-6 down the stretch,
yeah,
for a 10-1 team to lose to the Buccaneers in their barn,
by that much.
Baker Mayfield, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
Baker Mayfield.
You got to fire everybody
Except
for Devontae Smith. He's the only guy that showed up.
and Big Dov. Big Dov showed up as well as
Who's that?
security
Big
guard.
Dom, yeah.
Or Big Dom,
Yeah,
sorry.
he was allowed back.
Yeah. But with Nick Sirianni, I think after the 49ers game you mentioned that broke them, I think that might have been the second time he cried next to the national anthem being played last year.
Listen, I appreciate what he's done over 3 years. I've never really been a big fan. He has like this. Philly fans kind of grew to him, Sirianni, because of this like passion, like yelling at the owner at the Colts Stadium last year and yelling at Chiefs fans. And there's some people who are like, oh, it's awesome. Like, no, like not as a coach.
Yeah.
Like, be a little bit more professional for me. Act like you've been there.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. I wondered if it catch up to him. something crazy went down in that building the last 2 months because the locker room looked splintered. There was no effort. The tackling was atrocious. Like, literally just sick to my stomach. It's just the embarrassment. Like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, but you've been engulfed in Minnesota sports culture now and out just with the Wild and with the Vikings as well. I mean, wouldn't you rather be in your position as a Philly fan than a Vikings fan?
I hear that a lot from Minnesota people. They're like, oh, you don't understand. I'm like, no, I think there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
because you're used to getting your heart broken.
Yeah.
Except Philly usually does that in the championship, though.
Yes. Well, I've heard that.
They do it at a higher level. Like
we never make the finals.
Exactly.
So
like the game
you'd
before
rather
the final.
lose the last regular season game and miss the playoffs and get your just doors blown off in the playoffs.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
I'd rather be
The Cam one. no.
Cam one. Yeah. See, I'm with Cam. I'd rather. Well, I don't know.
See, it's a
Both
double-edged
ways
sword.
I'd rather
yeah.
be in the playoffs.
I'd rather just win like a normal person, right? Like
well, yeah.
not have to deal with either scenarios.
Yeah, I like the fact that, like, you know, you get those bigger games, everybody's watching, national media, all that stuff. Some of your buddies, it might be haters, they got to put it in park for a little bit. But then when eventually the other shoe drops, it does. I mean, it just blows no matter what.
Did you see the guy who dumped popcorn on Nick Sirianni?
I did watch that.
And then he walked out like, "Oh, I'm heading out." It's like, no, you're not heading out. You're
The
going to jail.
security guy's like, yeah, that's not fine.
Like-
But of course, he had like the mini helmet with him.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, like, in the moment, I get it, the rage. Like, he probably spent $500 on those tickets, and they got their asses kicked. But it's like, come on, dude.
You made that decision. Plus, the writing was on the wall that was going
And
to happen.
everybody's got a phone now.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, like, to check yourself, but you really sometimes have to think about how you're acting because ultimately it's going to end up on social media.
Yeah.
Well, especially as an Eagles fan, right? I mean, what do you think of the reputation that Eagles fans are the worst fans?
I think it's unfair.
Okay.
I do. I know you guys feel very differently. I can
Yeah, we
see
do.
the looks. I can see
Yeah.
the looks here.
We were walking into when fans were walking into the 2018 NFC Championship game, getting stuff thrown at them. I wasn't there though, so I don't know how.
I do objectively think it's hilarious, but when it happens here, then I have a different feeling.
I mean,
about it.
I went to the game at U.S. Bank the following year, regular season game. The Eagles got their butts handed to them, and I was walking out of the stadium with my family down the street. I don't know, an hour after the game, and somebody was chirping from across the street. I mean, it happens everywhere.
It does.
That definitely happens
Like,
in Minneapolis, though.
Somebody
for sure.
posted the other day on Twitter, and it really set me off. I was very close to responding, but I try to keep my Twitter account away from that Philly stuff because it's just, I mean, I try and keep it like
You're gonna get sucked in.
the Wild won,
Yes.
the Wild lost. Like, that's pretty much my account, as boring as it is. Somebody's like, oh, Philly fans are the scum of the earth. And I was like, I want to be like, buddy, there's losers, there's morons, there's, insert your phrase everywhere. Every fan base has them. It's highly publicized in a bigger city and one with a little bit more history of being donkeys at times.
Yeah. Although I do like when you guys win stuff because you get the street pole climbing, you get the horse shit
Well, I
eating,
was
you
wondering
get
if
the-
That
James
was crazy.
Bradbury, the cornerback for the Eagles, had grease on his equipment last night because he couldn't tackle anybody.
that was actually insane how many tackles were missed.
I mean, embarrassing.
It was
again.
scripted.
Might have been.
It was Roger Goodell driven stuff. I don't know.
Is it hard? I mean, I'm guessing you grew up a Flyers fan.
I actually did not really.
Okay.
I was a big Patrick Waugh fan, ironically enough, since Fleury just passed him. I don't really remember why. I know I had like an autographed picture of him back in the day. He was like one of my first sports idols. So I did a lot of rooting for the Canadians, which is why I knew that story about him getting yanked.
Yep.
I was watching that game. And then Colorado when he got traded. But, the last 15 or 20 years, whatever it's been, I've obviously watched the Flyers my entire life, and I do root for them now, so to speak. But there's not like of the four teams because of that childhood kind of
It's
setup.
our heater, by the way. It sounds like a blender.
That literally sounded like I thought someone started blaring some like
Yeah, I thought
some
it was
music.
like I
It
thought
just
was a
started doing
bumper.
that today.
I thought you were like segments over. Wrap it
Yeah.
up.
Segue.
It's like a timer
Yeah.
from the 50s.
So yeah, the Flyers of like the four Philly sports teams are probably the one that like I've been passionate about the least.
Yeah.
Having grown up there.
You know what bugs me about Eagle fans?
What's that?
They have a very similar history to the Minnesota Vikings in terms of a lot of losses at the big moment, and then they finally win one. And instead of like them kind of like understanding like how hard it is to win it, they become the cockiest people on planet Earth, I feel like.
See, I would disagree with that. I feel like people were so emotional over that, like you said, like people that their parents had passed before they ever got to see it. I didn't get that vibe. But again, I haven't lived there now in 25 years. We go back in the summer. We go back over Christmas. My family lives there. My wife's family lives there. I still have buddies in town, but we're not there every day. So, I mean, it's harder for me to say, but I feel like there was an appreciation for just how much that meant to so many people. But yeah, obviously they're going to go a little bit out of their way to be donkeys. I mean, that is what we do. For the record, though, the whole like Santa Claus got snowballs thrown at him. That Santa Claus was drunk. Like, look it up. There was Santa Claus.
This was last year, right?
This was like in
this was a long
1960.
time ago.
I
But the national media still brings it up. Like, oh, they threw snowballs at Santa Claus. Well, Santa was stumbling on the field, and people were booing him for being such a bad Santa, and that's when they were hurling
I've
snowballs.
never heard that before.
Wow.
I've heard
That's
I've
my
heard
story.
snowballing
That's
Santa,
my
yeah.
story, and I'm sticking to it.
Maybe that's where the whole reputation stems from.
It's a big part of
Philly
it.
fans.
Yeah.
well, now they
Throwing
throw
snowballs
snowballs
at
at away fans.
Now, the batteries that JD drew, that was real,
yeah.
and I actually condoned it completely at the time and still do. I mean, that guy's a...
All right. Well, moving back to Des Moines and everything. When we actually took a trip down there in March and got to visit Wells. Jesus Christ,
I
that thing
know.
is just out of
They sound-
control.
I
Well, it's
feel like-
minus
Kick it.
1,000 outside.
Yeah, that
so-
probably doesn't help. But we actually got to visit Wells Fargo Arena. It was a blast, as you mentioned. Des Moines is actually a really fun town. I'm just curious, have you ever seen any crazy fan altercations in all the time you've been down there? Because they have those dollar beers, I think, during warm-ups on Friday.
Yeah.
You got to think that's got to lead to some bad things
Yeah.
happening in most minor league sports towns. I'm curious what you've seen that turn
Yeah,
into.
so Friday nights were, I think, $2 beers up until the end of the first period. Now, the Des Moines Buccaneers, the junior team, forever they had, like, buck beers.
Okay.
And that was like a Friday night deal, and those were like 16-ounce like pounder cans.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And that's Urbandale, Iowa. Like that rink is, it needs some upgrades.
Sure.
So it has a barn feel to it. I'm sure it gets a little spicy in there, especially with those junior kids running around trying to take each other's heads off. I didn't see much of that in Des Moines, to be honest, as far as like fan altercation stuff.
It's pretty tamed. That's what we
Yeah.
learned. Like we
Well-
went down there expecting maybe it to be a rougher crowd, only because you just think of like minor leagues,
Yeah. Yeah.
cheap drinks. It
Yeah.
just
It's
that
actually
seems
a really
never-
good family atmosphere.
Yeah, it is.
The American I was gonna say the American Hockey League, the AHL, has a very NHL,
Yeah.
like vibe. But I feel like maybe like the Idaho or Boise Idaho
ECHL
Steelheads,
would have some
ECHL.
crazy
There's got to
stuff.
be a little more. There had to be a little more crazy stuff.
I think
dedicated
hockey
fans.
has changed a little bit. Like you think of Slapshot, you think
Yeah.
of that old school. Like even the American League when I first got there was, I went back recently and pulled up like the top penalty minute leaders from the 08-09 season when I was first there, and it's like a murderer's row. Like 10 guys with like 200 plus penalty minutes across the league. Like you don't see that anymore, right? Like it was the jungle.
Yeah.
We went on a road trip my first year in Houston, and we went like out east. And Matt Cassian, I don't know if you guys remember Matt Cassian,
yeah.
tough guy.
Yeah.
He had a fight in Binghamton, Jeremy Oblonsky. Like YouTube him, he just beats the snot out of people. In Syracuse, he fought John Morasti, another killer. He fought Bugard's little brother in Wilkes-Barre. Like we were on like a week, 10-day trip, and this guy had a fight like every night, like heavyweights. Like that, those buildings in that era, those were like the 3,000 people on top of you. I remember in Binghamton, 2011 Calder Cup Finals, we won a game there. This team with like Nate Prosser and Scandella, Justin Falk, not the Carolina one, the Minnesota
The
one.
OG
Matt
one.
Hackett Matt Hackett was the goalie. Robbie Earl was on that team. We go to the finals and we take a 2-1 lead against Binghamton or whatever, and fans were throwing stuff at our players, celebrating after the game. Like we somehow survived late in the third. They're making a push. Horn sounds, game over. Fans are chucking stuff. Like it's one of those like run for the buses type thing,
Keep the helmet on after the game.
So I feel like there's less of that now. To your
Yeah.
point, in the American League, it's become much more of a legitimate, NHL feeder league than maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah, now that you said that, that actually reminds me. I think before I went to a Wild game in like 2002, I went to a Houston Aeros game at the X when they came up, because they came up a couple times, and I think there was like 5, 6, 7 fights. in that game, and that was 20 plus years ago. Like it was, and that was like when the Houston Aeros, I think, just became our affiliate too. So, but I got to also we also have to have some appreciation. I love the Houston Aeros logo and the name and everything. That was awesome. It just didn't make logistical sense. Minnesota to Houston when the Iowa Stars were in Des Moines, that didn't make sense to me. But
So I just saw the other night. Gosh, was it the Coyotes game? Might have been the Coyotes game. I saw a fan wearing a Stefan Veilleux Houston Aeros jersey.
Wow. Throwback.
The blue arrows, and he was walking up on the concourse. I went to see my cousin. My oldest son was at the game, and I'm standing on the concourse at intermission for a minute, chatting up with them, and I see this guy from like 50 feet away, and I'm like, "Yo, look at this jersey!" And he kind of blew me off.
Yeah.
Really?
Because like I wanted to like take a picture and say I know Steph. From the minors, and our kids play baseball together now. He lives down in Edina. He's part of the community. So I wanted to send him a photo. I thought he would think it was pretty cool. And this guy was kind of like, because first I saw the 24, and I'm thinking maybe Bugard. And then he gets past me, and I see it's a Veilleux. I'm like, oh, I got to get a picture of this, like arrows, Veilleux. And I don't know. The guy was like, I don't know if he thought I was messing with him or what, but he was not as interested in stopping for this photo as I was. But yeah, to your point, the Arrows logo's definitely cool. The old Gordie Howe days with Houston hockey, like they had the blue and white jerseys with arrows, like the AEROS going down the chest. Like those are some sick sweaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of jerseys, I mean, you've probably seen a million different hockey jerseys from the ECHL, AHL, and then NHL.
Yeah.
What do you think best jersey you've ever seen? Can you do that or no?
Probably not on the spot, but I will say, like in the minors, you get those specialty jersey nights. So you get like Margaritaville jersey night. You'll get a Star Wars themed jersey. The Rockford Ice Hogs did some like Hispanic heritage nights. You should Google some of those jerseys. Like their pig head had like a stash on it. Like they caught a little bit of flack, honestly, for it. But there were some. There are definitely some theme night jerseys across many years in the minors that are remarkably different, unique. I actually have a couple of like. Military appreciation night jerseys that the Iowa Wild did. Their equipment manager hooked me up with, and they are awesome.
Yeah.
They did one when we were down there last year where it was, I think it was a local artist that made it who might have been Native American, but it was a wild, it was like the outline of the state of Iowa, and then they had like the Wild logo within that.
Yeah.
And that looked cool, which I think the Minnesota should do, where it's the Minnesota Wild, where it's the outline of the state, and then like the sun and all the river and the pine trees, or the bear, whichever way you want to look at it, is all inside of the state outline.
Yeah.
And then the whole jersey is wheat gold, or
The Iowa Heartlanders.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, Minnesota's AA team, the ECHL team in Coralville, Iowa, they have some dusty uniforms. Like the color scheme. Like I like that uniqueness, right? Like you see so many of the same colors now. It's like that's why the retros for the Wild, the 78s and the ones from previous years, like that's why they pop so much. Like you don't see that yellow and green really a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a North Stars thing. Couple of teams maybe here or there. The Oakland A's kind of have a similar color scheme, but like I just think when you see uniforms like that, where it's like it's just not your standard.
These are clean.
Yeah, the Heartland ones.
The Heartlanders, and I
like that logo with the buck on it with the in black.
Yeah,
like,
that's
the black.
Sweet.
We saw people walking around with that, wearing that when we were at the Iowa Wild game last year. I'm like, what jersey is that?
What's crazy about the minor league like circuit is those jersey nights, they get auctioned off for charity, and some people will first of all get like every auction. It's the same season ticket holders there, and they are like bidding against each other, like $1,500, $2,000 for like a minor league player that might never, sniff a game in the NHL, right? But like, or it could be a prospect, and like sometimes those jerseys are going, because I used to do the auctioneer stuff for a lot of those for Iowa. And I mean, by the end of the night, you're raising $40,000 for charity off a bunch of hockey jerseys. For even guys that didn't play that night, we'd get it made up. Like say in this case, Damon Hunt's called up. We'd have a Damon Hunt jersey and auction that off, and you might get $1,200 for it, even though he never wore it, just because of the uniqueness of the jersey. And these fans are so hardcore.
Yeah,
it's awesome actually. The support at those levels, Iowa Wild fans were awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Shit, we need to become minor league jersey guys. Or junior hockey league jersey guys. And speaking of like the steelheads, that I've always been fascinated with that logo. And like they were talking about, I don't know like how official or how far it was going within the Seattle Hockey Organization before they became the Kraken, but people were pushing for them to become the Seattle Steelheads and then rename that team or do something, because steelhead I think is the state fish of Washington State, I think, or something like that. I'm like, that'd have been badass.
See, my vote was that they called themselves the Rainy City Bitch Pigeons, but that one didn't, I think, make it
or this
too far
That
past.
one was good. The Seattle Grunge was another good one.
When we were in Sweden, I was trying to go see a Swedish hockey league game, and ultimately I just too dumb and lazy. I never pulled the trigger. But there's a team like I was looking on some of their websites, and I'm trying to like figure out, hit the translate button. There's legit a team on there whose like abbreviation or whatever was bitch.
Nice.
And I was like, go see the bitches play?
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was a Swedish hockey league team or a tier 2 team, but I was like, I don't know if this is a Google Translate issue or if like this is how the team, like what they go by or how you pronounce it in Sweden, like whatever.
Bish?
Maybe those are different letters or
something was lost in
maybe-
translation, but
Maybe they want to be called the female dogs.
That's
and that's
just,
just and bitch is just
A
actually
scientific name for
normal
it.
way to say it out there, and and it is a scientific name, but it's of course frowned upon to say in the States, obviously. But
Oh.
maybe it's just not a big of a slur over there. I don't know. I don't know.
slur.
Yeah, it's
nobody's
interesting.
offended, rooting for them, I guess.
Yeah, the bitches.
Yeah. Like, I'm a fan of the bitches.
Yeah, then we could have named it the Rainy City Bitch Pigeons.
Right.
Let's normalize it here in the States.
Yeah.
Putting in logos and names.
Yeah. It
Seriously.
rains there a lot. It would have played.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sure there's a lot of bitches and pigeons.
Small dogs and pigeons.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a populated area.
Exactly.
I know we were talking about like minor league promotions earlier, and obviously Dollar Beer Night is like a really big one. But can you think of any other crazy stuff that teams have done to try to get fans in the doors?
Guaranteed win night. So if you win, then the team's giving out free tickets to the next Wednesday home game.
Okay.
Hold on, wait for a second. I thought they were actually guaranteeing. The
win.
organization
I
was
was-
guaranteeing a win.
I gave
We're
you a
guaranteeing
cockeyed
win,
look
so
too.
buy
Like,
tickets.
what does this mean?
Yeah.
I want to say somebody tried guaranteed fight night, but I think the league shut it down. I don't quote me on that, but I'm sure
They're
you could
trying to
Google
script a fight.
So this is early ECHL days for me, but the Long Beach Ice Dogs had blue ice.
What a great
and
name, by the
yellow blue lines because they thought it would help people see the puck better. It was a grease fire.
I would love to see that rink though.
But
That sounds like a shit
they played
show.
at Long Beach Ice Arena, and there was nobody at these games. I mean, nobody.
Yeah.
And they had that dude William Hung come out. He was like the first American Idol guy, but he got like booted, I think, the first
Yeah,
show.
he's really bad. Yeah,
Really bad. So he would like do the anthem and then sing like "Achy Breaky Heart" at intermission.
Oh, no.
But they would draw people were coming to these games solely because William Hung
Was
or whatever,
there?
I think that was his name. So yeah, I've seen some stuff that's just completely disaster.
There's a picture.
Yeah. And so the broadcast vantage point was literally Afghanistan from Long Beach. Like, you couldn't have been further away.
God, that's like that's like the NFL line for the first down line.
But I would walk in
yeah.
there, especially people out in like you said, this is in Long Beach, California. A lot of people who don't know hockey, you're trying to draw on people. They're like, are they playing on like a frozen pool?
Yeah.
Like over
It
a
was-
pool.
They didn't last long. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. They had some West Coast Hockey League days, some ECHL days when the West Coast Hockey League merged with the ECHL, but ultimately they were just not going to support, like, when you're talking about maybe a couple hundred fans at most of your games, like, it's struggle bus.
Yeah.
They need to bring that name back, the Ice Dogs. That name goes
That is
hard. I don't
cool.
care
Their
if, if
logo
no
was
one went
like
to the.
I think like a bulldog with like a chain around his neck.
I'm gonna look this up.
I thought I saw a team. I mean, that could be just a men's league team I've seen. Like I've heard sled dogs, ice dogs.
Yeah, that goes hard.
That is badass.
It's kind of like the Bulldogs in Duluth. Like that logo works.
It just sounds like they didn't really have hockey people running that organization or that team to do good
Yeah,
enough
I
marketing. I don't know.
Probably shouldn't sewer them too hard, but they've been gone for almost 20 years now, so probably nobody cares. But
Yeah.
it was not well run.
Just the blue ice does not do
Yeah,
it for me.
did not work out. Like you couldn't see the puck any better. The broadcast vantage point was so far away, and they weren't drawing.
It kind of reminds me of like when they had initiatives in the late '90s to try to make the game more appealing by putting like the 3D line on the puck whenever
the
it was
glow
shot.
puck.
The glow.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Bucks?
was
Yeah.
disaster.
I remember seeing highlights
yeah.
of that.
Over 70 miles an hour, the puck would turn red. Like the streak trailing the puck would be red. Yeah, that was a Fox Sports deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
gross. Yeah, they've made a couple
Trial
bad
and error.
because with the animations they do with football players, the drawings and the cartoons
Those
they do,
those stuck around though.
they stuck around, but
Still looks
it
hilarious.
doesn't look good on the
Yeah.
players.
Yeah.
But that always fascinated me that they tried that. I'm like, what am I watching? NHL hits on
Right.
like a video game on TV? It just didn't play out.
We used to have bring your dog to the game.
yeah.
We did that a few times in Houston. But then, this is not a joke. I kind of helped man up this night. We were all kind of tasked with coming up with a theme night. And I was like, all right, so we did pucks and paws. I found a company called Scoop Lay Poop. And this dude came around with his staff and would clean up any accidents on the concourse. Because Toyota Center was like, what's going on here? Like, you're going to have dogs. Like, who's going to... So I had a professional dog waste company roll through with his staff. I gave him a bunch of tickets and some advertising of the game, traded it out. And he came and cleaned up any messes at the Toyota Center in Houston.
I mean, it sounds like it'd be a shit show. Was it a shit show? All those, it
Literally
was
a shit show.
Literally a shit
I will
show.
tell you, his tagline was the king of crap, and we're number one in the number two business. Those were his two taglines.
There we go.
Smart.
He's a marketer.
Smart.
Through and through.
And he was a beauty, that guy.
Yeah. Well, the Saints have a lot of funny promotions. Our neighbors down here, they actually have I went to one of their games incidentally where it was bring your dog, and it was a ton of dogs just fighting with each other, and all their owners are just yelling, not nice, which is what you yell at another person whose dog isn't being nice, and it's just dogs fighting.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this probably could have been thought out a little better because it's just
Well, you
people
would think the
on
people
leashes.
bringing their dog would know about their dog.
Yeah.
You don't bring your dog to that event
nice.
if your dog is out of control.
Yeah. I think it was fine for the most part, but yeah, there were definitely some incidents where owners were getting dragged by their puppies or their large animals because they brought a dog to a public
I
place.
called a game one time in San Antonio. Had to be Arrows and Rampage, maybe Iowa Wild and Rampage, and there was a bulldog literally sitting next to me for the entire 3 periods. Like,
Just staring at you?
Or was it quiet?
I mean, it was just one of those things you just don't forget. Like, they probably had a couple thousand dogs in the building, and one was within, like, petting distance, I felt like. It was, yeah.
It's just probably hard to do your job when there's just a bulldog sitting there.
Looking
Like,
in the corner of your eye.
just-
What is that there? Oh my gosh.
Those school day
They're
games are
breathing.
cool, though. Have you guys ever seen those where they like bust in elementary school kids?
No.
No, I haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah.
those, but like obviously for field trips and stuff.
Yeah,
right,
it's like,
during
but
the day,
what a
yeah.
cool field trip. Like,
Oh,
we
yeah.
went to museums, we went to Washington, D.C., we were in Philly, like, but like, a hockey game?
Yeah.
Be
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
We did Twins games. In
I was
high
going to
school.
say,
We did.
I did Twins games
Wednesdays.
too.
Yeah.
Back in the Dome.
Like when they were like afternoon games.
Then they'd show you on the Jumbotron, please welcome the 5th grade class of blah, blah, blah high school, and you're up in the fucking 400s
Yeah,
up
I
there
know.
where all the
all wearing like maybe a same T-shirt.
drunk
like
people are fighting in the section over, rolling down the steep stairs at the Dome, and you're like,
gosh.
hi, you're all wearing the same T-shirt.
It's a Wednesday
good times.
afternoon at a baseball game. Those
The
were always
Saints,
interesting.
the Saints are also the same organization that let us show up and build a beer snake,
Mm-hmm.
which drinking heavily is usually not encouraged. But those minor league teams, man, they're different organizations. It's great. It's
Yeah,
great
you
stuff.
got to get the name out there, right?
Yeah.
Sell some tickets, butts in the seats is
Yep.
what keeps them rolling.
Yep.
You guys crushed that at the Wild game, though, too.
Yeah, they somehow let us do it as well. So
Twice.
it
Yes.
is incredible. that-
Twice?
Twice.
Yeah, we did it twice, but that first time is when we broke the record.
Yeah.
and you should have came down and been part of it.
It was
thrown
too
away.
far away.
Yeah,
You guys are on
yeah.
the other side of the building. I
know.
thought about it. I think we had conversed about it. It was just too far of a walk with all that traffic on the concourse.
That would've
Yeah,
been-
well, and to your credit, you guys had a little bit more of an important job to play than we did that night, so we don't blame
Had
you
to be a little
I'm
more
here
sober
for the greater
for-
good, though.
for staying in
Yeah.
the booth. Yeah, exactly.
you could at least topped it off, put the last cup on to
Yeah.
break the record officially.
Yeah, that was the only Wild game where I didn't have a chance to pay attention the whole entire time because we were just too busy drinking and building that freaking
Yeah.
cup.
And
Like,
Talking to
It,
people
it
too.
gets to a point where you have to logistically use your brain to try to figure this out. All right, we need this person over here. We need to start stacking cups over
But
here.
you're-
and,
but
and
you're-
you've had
and
6
you're
beers.
kind of drunk.
You're blacked out.
So
yeah,
you're,
by the
you're
end of
sitting
it.
there like, what am I doing right
Checking their
now?
score on your phone to see if they're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listening to the crowd.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you're watching it on the little TVs they have in the concourse, and that's one of those moments where you go, "They got me," because I'm here paying $13 a beer. I paid $40-some to get in the door, and I'm not even sitting
I haven't
out
watched
there.
in the
a second of
concourse.
the game.
They got me
And then
right where they want me.
And before you know it, it was like me and a couple people running up and down sections, grassroots style, looking for empty cups. Like empty
Yep.
cups.
Just asking to
Yeah.
create a new virus.
Yeah, I was exactly.
Just
People would be
mixing
so
people's
confused.
saliva together.
Like, what's this fucking random drunk guy asking for everyone's cups? Like, and there was like 3 of us down in each section, like we were vendors. It's
Yeah.
very strange, but you got to do what you got to do.
Along those lines, when you go to Tom Reed's Hockey City Pub with your coworker Tom Reed, do you get a discount on drinks? I always wondered that. Does he give you a friendly discount?
So I'll tell you a quick Tom Reed story. One of the greatest people. I wish I could look right into the camera.
Yeah.
One of the greatest people you will ever meet. He is as genuine as it gets. He's as caring as it gets. He's hilariously funny. He loves his job, the Minnesota Wild. Like, he's done so much for hockey. I hope he gets recognized at some point when his career comes to an end that he deserves it, right? So let me get that out of the way. But a couple years back, I did a few games off the monitor during the second COVID shortened season, the one that started in January. They were like those 9 o'clock starts. Remember, they put the Wild in the Pacific Division or whatever.
Brutal.
So we're calling games, him and I, maybe a half dozen of them at XL in the bowels of the arena off monitors, starting at like 9:30 p.m. And I was staying at the Residence Inn up the street from the XL basically that entire season, because we hadn't moved up. I hadn't taken the full-time job here or any of that. So Tom Reed would pick me up from the hotel, take me to XL, we'd call the game, he'd drive me back, and on the way back, we'd stop at the pub, which is closed because it's like 11 p.m. now, and COVID, they had to shut down.
But he's Tom Reed. So.
Lights are off. We go in the back door, in through the kitchen. He'd flip down a couple of stools and just start pouring Kokanees for me.
Nice.
And him and I would sit there and have a few beers, and he would just tell stories.
That's awesome.
And then he would drive me to the hotel, which, again, is like 2 blocks. I'm like, TR, I can walk. Nope, I'm going to take you up there, and then he'd go home. And he would, and just to add an icing on the cake of what a good human he is, he would call the bar manager, Kathy, before the game would be over, the broadcast, and he'd be like, what do you want? And I would order like a wrap with tots, whatever, and the cooks would make it and put it in the fridge before they would leave for the night. So I had food going back to my hotel room to reheat or whatever. Like, that's Tom Reed in a nutshell. But I love that bar. It's great. I just my wife's cousin was out here last weekend, and I made sure to bring him in there just so he could, see the memorabilia, walk around. Great food. Love that spot. And, Tom's a very generous person. So a lot of times, like, it kind of angers me, but, like, he won't let me pay for stuff.
Yeah.
He actually gets upset when you either ask him for help or ask, to help him or try to pay for something. Like, he's a big human, like, still very imposing. So, like, even at age 70, whatever, like, I don't want to push those buttons. So when he says no, like, I'm paying for it, or no, I don't need help with this, I'm like, all right, I'm not pushing
That's
that
like
envelope.
it's like our, grandparents' generation. Like, you don't talk back to those people.
Yeah.
Like, you will get slapped if you do.
He's like, I'm paying for this. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, TR, let me get this round. No. Okay.
Well,
I'm not,
you have obviously an in with Tom, so can you just maybe ask him to get rid of the troughs?
I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan. I've seen enough dicks in my time, Like, we grew up in the Metrodome.
I'm not going to follow up as a broadcaster. Normally, you ask a follow up question. I'm not going to ask a follow up question.
Plead the fifth.
Let's get some urinal.
In
That's
fact,
all I'm
I think,
asking.
in the middle of the broadcast, you ask him a serious hockey question, and then he responds, and you're like, "Yeah, by the way, I heard some complaints. I'm wondering what you're going to do about those troughs in the bar. Apparently, there's a lot of penises.
Any
in there."
specials at the pub tonight? And also,
The troughs. Will there be
what about
ice in
the
it?
ice cubes? You like the ice cubes? In
Yeah.
Well,
I guess.
there? That's a fun,
It's a
fun
game.
game.
that is a
It's
fun
a game to see how many
yeah,
ice cubes
melt
you
the
can melt.
ice. You're helping the environment or something. I'm not sure, but the funniest Tom Reed story we have was during COVID. That same time, like right when they opened the bars for a limited time. I can't remember how many of you guys were there, but we it was like the best thing ever that you could go. It was back when you had to wear a mask when you stood up, and all these tables were isolated, but the Wild were playing at home, and we're like, we're going to go to Tom Reed's and watch the game and whatever, because we haven't been out of our houses in 3 months. So we go to the game. I think they played the Florida Panthers that night. They lost 5-2, and it was that was a great season. That was a fun season, and they were normally winning. And we stayed there a little bit after the game. We're all wearing our Wild sweaters, and there wasn't a ton of people in there at the time. And Tom walks over to our table. We don't know him personally. He just goes, "Oh, boys, that was a horseshit performance, wasn't it?" And then he just like kept walking. We're like, "Yep, that one sucked," and that was it.
He's awesome, man.
It was
And
so
him,
cool.
if you can spend 10 minutes of your life with Tom Reed and Lou Nanne in the same room, it's like gold.
Yeah.
They just
Can't even
bust each
imagine.
other's balls. It's like almost like Grumpy Old Men, that movie, where
Yeah.
they just are ribbing each other the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were in New York a couple years ago, and Lou's in because Lou will do all the New York games and the Florida games and for Bally's, and we're sitting in like the media room doing our notes, whatever. This is before morning skate, and Tom gets on his phone and he's like, "Call Lou Nanne." And Lou's like 15 feet away, so then Lou's phone starts ringing. Of course, it's a loud ringer. Lou's taking out. I can see who's calling. It's Tom. He's sitting like 10 feet away from him. Like, just small stuff like that. Those guys just give each other a hard time, and it's just awesome. And their personalities are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time we're at Tom Reed's after a game and you're there, we're gonna have to have a conversation with you and Tom as well.
Yeah. He hates that, but yeah.
Hey, well, he'd be like, "Who the hell are these guys?" Well, you said to us a few years back that it was a horseshit game,
and we agreed with you.
We're those guys.
And we agreed. So yeah, we're those. Well, he won't remember me, but I had went in there like in 2018, like during the middle of a day for no reason. Not for no reason. I went in there to get some B-roll for a story I was doing when I was a student at the U, and he was in there, of course, but I didn't see him when I went in there, but there was really no one in there. It was just Tom, and he was there with somebody else, and I was wearing one of our old Burnsville B logos on a hockey jacket, and it looks like a Boston Bruin logo.
Yeah, identical.
And I went up and talked to the manager, and I had a camera and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a story here. And like, oh yeah, Tom was wondering who the hell you were. I thought you were some Boston fan walking in here trying to film the place. I'm like, no. And then I ended up talking to him for like 5 minutes and got a picture with him. He's a super nice guy, and he's like, yeah, I thought you were a Boston Bruin fan. Okay, that makes sense.
Trying to scout out like the opposing team's bars, like there's some inside information
Yeah,
there.
so I thought that was funny. I'm like, no, it's just Burnsville, not Boston. No, I'm a big Wild guy, so don't worry. But that was kind of funny.
Yeah, he's literally one of the best people you ever meet. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. Welcoming me to the team and working with me. I mean, worked with Bob Kirch for 20 years. He could have easily made it difficult or give me the cold shoulder or whatever, and he was the 100% or 180-degree opposite of that. Like, just such a good person.
Yeah. Well, Joe, the final question I have for you is along the lines of Tom Reed's. I know that's your number one spot. I think it's probably everyone in this room's number one spot. What would you say are a close second, third in terms of bars of West 7th? Do you go to any other ones?
I have been in a few.
I'm sure you're pretty loyal, so you're mainly just going to
Right.
Tom.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Grand 7. I've been in there a bunch the year I lived in that hotel because that was an easy walk.
Yep.
Been at McGovern's, obviously.
Yep.
Eagle Street's not there anymore. I've done
R.I.P.
that. I went to that lower town at some point and did some bars there. Is that what you guys call
That's
that?
where we're
that's
here.
where-
Where we're here right now.
We're in
The
Lower
Bulldog, right down the
I've
road.
been to the Bulldog.
Yep.
I'm in Lower Town. I just walked past Lower Town Lofts. That's
Yeah.
where I
That's
we
where I
already
live.
should've known.
Yeah, that's where he lives.
Yeah, so I was in that place
Jack,
called Lower
don't
Town.
put that
Actually, I
out
just doxed myself.
You
That's
did.
fine. Send me money.
So that didn't sound super intelligent. But yeah, so I've been to Lower Town.
Yeah.
But honestly, like if we're gonna go, like give me a bar, like on the road, whatever. There's a place in Des Moines called the High Life Lounge. It was built in the like 2005ish to look like a dive bar from the 60s, and they did an excellent job. And it's cheap canned beer, fried food, and it's unbelievable. I love that spot.
We might have walked in there. We went into a few bars after the game.
Oh, you would know this place.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was pretty foggy though at that
Yeah.
point. I mean, it was a Friday night in Des Moines, and as you know, they do the $2 cans, and
Yeah.
we took full
We
advantage.
might not have, honestly.
We probably did.
We showed up to that bar. One of the bars we went to right after was that bar right next to Wells Fargo. They
Buzzer Billy's?
Yes.
Buzzer Billies.
Buzzer Billies.
Yeah, I got
So
into
the-
an altercation with a guy who was saying PJ Fleck sucks, and I just walked away.
He was right, Jake.
I was getting pissed off. We're in Iowa.
If there are recommendations, I'll take them, for either the Burbs or otherwise. Because I don't get to get out a lot.
Herbie's on the block, or Herb's on the
Herbie's on 7th.
Herbie's on 7th. Jesus, I butchered that. That one's a good spot. That's
I've been in there a couple times.
yeah, that one's cool.
Yeah, and then a recommendation: getting a 40 at Truck Park.
Okay.
You might have to
Yes.
get that before you pop over to Tom Reed's, 'cause it's right on the walk.
on the
over.
walk.
You get a 40 out. You
That's
get a
the
40
only
of Bud
bar.
Light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get a 40 of, which is ridiculous. It's hilarious.
It's bad.
Wait, they really sell 40s?
Yeah, they sell
there?
40s.
'Cause I have been there once or twice, and I don't remember that, but I mean, that was years ago that I was there, when they first opened.
They
show you a picture.
they serve 40. Yeah, you got a picture of yourself drinking. We all got pictures of
Yeah.
ourselves pounding them.
It's
Bud
Were you
Light.
like-
sitting
the-
outside right on the little bench area there
You,
pounding them?
you can
or-
get one if
No,
you
you-
want there. You can. I mean, as
get
long as
inside.
you're,
Yeah. No,
you can get them inside
It's
too.
funny, after Wild Games, we were there after last Saturday's game. You see half the bar drinking.
It's
I
traditionally
try to stay away from
it's
them.
a tradition after they lose. People start buying these
But yeah,
motherfuckers.
and I stay away from them.
Let's see here.
How do
Oh,
40s go down these days?
not great. Not as great as they did in college.
No.
I would think that time
Well,
is-
they kind of go down easy, but then they hit you very hard.
Let's see.
Very hard.
That is amazing.
Yep. They're fucking huge.
Took that. Yeah.
Hey, you took that. We have the idea of one of these days bringing duct tape in there and playing Edward 40 Hands on the bar. Someone had to have has tried that. Maybe they stop you from doing it because they're like, this guy's either going to puke or piss himself.
They have one rule in there. It's no Edward 40 hands.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what
no
it is.
duct tape allowed. You can
Yeah.
bring everything else in here. You cannot bring duct tape in here.
Don't sell 40s, okay? You're asking for it.
You're asking for this.
Oh, man. Yeah, the last question I have for you, so hear me out here. So we have an E-Bug position, right? You have emergency backup
Connor
goalie.
Beaupre.
Yeah,
Yep.
Connor Beaupre. We're good friends with him.
Good
You want me to
dude.
take him out for you so you can be it? Or is this
Well,
what we're
no,
getting
we've already solidified that with Bill Guerin that I'm the E-Bug to the E-Bug.
Okay, that's
and then
important.
Jack's the E-Bug to the E-Bug to the E-Bug.
Right.
But hear me out here. So why not have an E-Bub,
Depth.
an emergency backup broadcaster? I know it's you, Kevin Falness, Halvey, and then I'm the emergency backup.
You'd be after Halvey?
Yes, officially.
I mean, I think I can just anoint you that if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm now in scope for women's hockey 5-6 years ago.
Can print
so-
something, a contract real quick?
Yeah, come on. You can print something.
We'll do
out.
it
We've
on
done
we'll do
before.
it on a paper towel. That's the
Yeah.
level of
a paper plate.
professionalism we have
We've
here.
done it on paper plates in the past. If we don't probably have that here, but I mean, I think a verbal just anointment probably just officializes
I mean,
it. Or
if you want the job, I think it's yours.
okay, I'm the emergency backup.
There'd have to be a
broadcaster for
lot of
Minnesota
people that
Wild.
go down for you to
Yes.
get to even get near that booth, but
Get the call. I'll get the call halfway through a game after having a 40 at Truck Park. and
yeah,
I won't disclose that, but I'll go up there and
you don't want to violate the FCC rules.
exactly,
obviously.
exactly. So
I
wouldn't
have
disclose that
seen
information.
e-bugs play before in the minors, and it's,
Oh, yeah.
it can be an experiment.
Yeah.
An adventure is probably a better way to put it. John Torchetti, actually, you guys remember Torch?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He put one in Grand Rapids when he was the head coach of the Iowa Wild. We were just getting pumped, and he just played the e-bug in the third just because.
Come on,
That's
wow.
hilarious. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I don't want my backup getting hurt either.
And sure as hell, this kid comes out there, and I'm like, really?
What is?
I
the-
think his name was Dave DeSander. I'd have to do that.
how'd you
homework.
even call that? Were you like, and they're pulling out the emergency backup
Yeah.
goalie?
So
Who are they putting in
So one time in Boise, we were playing the Phoenix Roadrunners. They were playing at the time where the Suns used to play, America West Arena or whatever it's called. And this was when they were in Phoenix. And we had a line brawl, end of the first period. Now, the Steelheads were really good, went on to win the Kelly Cup that year. The Phoenix Roadrunners were hot garbage. I hope I have time for this story.
Oh yeah.
You're good.
So we're just beating the brakes off of them. I don't know. It might have been 3-4-0 after one, whatever. So the period ends, and their goalie just goes the length of the ice. This is a veteran goalie. His name was Cody Rakowski. He grabs our rookie from Harvard, our backup, John Danew. Main goalie was up in the American League at the time, right? So we're playing our backup, and we have the E-Bug on the bench, Idaho Steelheads 2006-07 season. Cody Rakowski is just literally beating the brakes off of John Danew. Everybody else is fighting or grabbing onto somebody. So I go down to the locker room at intermission, and I find our trainer. I'm like, what, and he's like, Danew's out. Yeah, his teeth knocked out. Like, it was kind of greasy, like not the most. Like, come on, dude. Like, Cody Rakowski knew what he was doing. Like,
Yeah.
they weren't going to win the game. He's like, sure, I'm going to go down and beat up this kid. Really nice kid, John Danew. Didn't end well. So Tim Baumgartner comes in to play, and the only note I had on him was from my buddy who's working for the Roadrunners, was that he worked at an Avis car rental center.
Damn.
Tim Baumgartner came in, and there was the most concerted effort I've ever seen to block shots by a hockey team over the next two periods. And the Roadrunners start chipping away at the lead, and they actually won the game on like a defenseman, Colin Peters. I don't know how I remember all this from 2007, but it's just one of those games. Colin Peters, I swear, he took like a delay game penalty. They scored on the power play in the third, and they beat us by a goal, if I remember correctly. But Tim Baumgartner might be in hockey DB from his one ECHL game played.
That's incredible.
was
Got the win.
This is why I should have written a book a long time ago.
Yeah.
That night, I should have left, gone back to the hotel, and just scratched out all those details because they're a little hazy now. But there's stuff like that I've seen over, I don't know how many years, 20 years now in minor league and then NHL hockey that, like, sometimes you're like, really?
Yeah.
Well, and the team was probably blocking shots for him because this guy's got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. He's got to sell some cars.
yeah, he's gotta-
rentals.
he's gotta sling some cars.
He's like a men's league guy and a Avis car rental employee, and that's all the information I had on him.
Avis should have given him a raise. I would have milked the
sponsored
shit
by
out of
him.
that
Talk about a
story as a
sponsorship.
company. Yeah.
Well, really quick, I I was just curious when you mentioned e-bugs in like minor leagues.
I've never heard of that.
You always
yeah.
think about it in the NHL, and they already have crazy backgrounds. Like the David Ayers was a Zamboni driver,
guy,
the
yeah.
guy
Yeah.
for Scott. Was it Scott Foster or whatever?
Something like that,
Something like
yeah.
that for the Chicago Blackhawks. He was an accountant. I'm like an e-bug in the juniors.
Scott Darling.
What?
Scott Darling.
Yeah, the
Scott-
Chicago guy.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Scott, and then, but I'm like a e-bug in the minors. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of background do they have? And apparently, they're car
Yeah.
rental
Well,
guys.
they're-
Or,
trust me, they're not at the arena. Like Connor's at the building, right?
Yeah.
Like he's there because they know. Like this guy is like, you find out you don't have a goalie and you just get on the phone.
he's at the bar
know.
right now.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
And then do they
that's
delay
in
the
A-
game
that's
until
in
he shows up?
Well, no, I think we knew he was there because our goalie Steve Silverthorne had been recalled to the Iowa Stars at the time.
Oh,
So
okay.
we knew going into that game that Dainu was going to play. We needed a backup. So the home team just provides you somebody.
Got it.
So
why,
we knew going in.
Why do they not just carry 3 goalies on the roster?
At that level, probably because there's not
Can't get
really a
enough.
lower level.
Okay.
Right? Like
Yeah.
whatever salary cap or roster
All right,
size.
Jake, hop in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, is there an EACHL team around here, or junior team? Oh, there's the Minnesota Magicians, right?
That's
They still a team?
That's isn't that NA?
That's NAHL. Hey,
Yeah.
that's probably my best shot.
I think you might be too old for that league.
Yeah.
I might
You are too old for that league, yeah.
It's just like 19-year-olds, and
Like, oh, you can rent a car?
Yeah.
Never mind.
yeah, they play at
Well,
Richfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my final question here to wrap things up, I guess I'll go back to the Wild. Everyone on Wild Twitter right now, I'm sure you've seen, is just calling for a tank. I'm just wondering, do you see any possible way that the Minnesota Wild can get themselves out of the cellar here and actually get themselves into a playoff spot?
I do. Again, going into this past weekend, I was still very hopeful. Obviously, the not getting 2 points against the Flyers, kind of blowing that lead, and then getting blanked by Arizona was very deflating, at least for me personally, looking, going, man, like I said, there's a handful of teams you got to leapfrog now and not a lot of time to do it. But anybody calling for a tank doesn't know Bill Guerin, and that means they haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing about that guy that screams lose games. You know, I just don't see it. And those guys, again, you're talking about competitors in that locker room, proud athletes. You know, they want to win games. They don't care about draft picks. Like, they're fighting for their jobs, future contracts, playing for pride, playing for one another. Flurries maybe last year. Like, there's a lot of storylines there that I can't see this team doing anything other than competing right till the end. And look, the projection for the playoffs in the Western Conference is not 98 points or 100 points like it's been sometimes in previous years, 95 points. Like, I think you could probably sneak in low 90s. They just got to get on a hell of a run. But again, they did it last year. Like, I remember leaving last year. We played a game in Dallas in February and lost the game. And it was like one of those where you're like looking at the standings, Calgary's there, are the Wild going to get in? And then they went on a heck of a run. So
Yeah.
it's the same core group, you know, outside of Dumba being gone and Faber being there. Like, for the most part, the team's the same. So I think they can do it, but they can't take nights off. They can't not afford to show up a game or blow a lead in the third period. Like, they've got to be dialed in the rest of the way. But their track record says they can do it.
Well, and we were just talking before you came on about the Florida Panthers last year. If Pittsburgh didn't lose to Chicago,
Right.
both them and then another bad team,
Really bad team like
then-
Buffalo or something.
Yeah, then they would have gotten into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Instead, they lose both games. Florida sneaks in by lucky chance and makes it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
And then you have the St. Louis Blues story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dead last January 1, they fire Mike Yeo, they bring in the Chief, they win the Cup. And I'll just say one more thing. John Hines was coaching Nashville last year, and they sold the farm. Between injuries and trade deadline, he was playing that group.
and they
was a-
still almost made the playoffs.
the last game of the year, second to last game, is when they got eliminated. He had that team, and I remember watching from afar, going, "This is the Milwaukee Admirals playing in Nashville."
Yeah.
You know, outside of Yossi, I don't know, he might have been hurt, but Saros, right? So they had an all-world goaltender, but for the most part, that was their AHL core up there, and they hung around to the final week. So that gives me hope because John Hines has been there and done it up, in even last year.
yeah.
Well, you know what they got to do, Joe, at the deadline? They got to.
Bring you in.
Well, sure, yeah, that for sure. I would love that. Also, trade for Connor McDavid, just Boldy,
Who's that?
Kaprizov, and a first rounder. Connor McDavid. Am I pronouncing his name right?
I think it's
Matt-
McDavid.
McDavid.
Connor McDavid.
Yeah,
Or
he's
Connor
good.
Bedard.
He's good at hockey. I heard. So,
He's
or
pretty
we
good.
should just tank for Connor.
Connor
tank for
Bedard.
Bedard.
Yeah.
Or no, trade the farm
Can
for
we get
Bedard.
Faber for Calder? Can we get that going?
Yeah. Let's
We've
go.
Yep.
we've been on that train for a little
Yes.
while now. I mean,
What does he have the most assists?
He does. He passed
Amongst-
Bedard
yeah.
the other night.
Beautiful.
Helper against
He's
the
been
Islanders.
so good.
he averages a lot of ice time too.
Faber.
You hate to see a guy get hurt, But
Yeah.
if it means Faber's got a better shot at the Calder, sorry.
Bedard has plenty of time to be
win
a
awards.
superhero.
Yeah.
Like let's at least let someone else, one of our little guys, have it first. Before.
First off, it's Bedard.
Oh yeah, right.
It's Connor Bedard.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
how his dad pronounces
That's
it.
how my dad. He's like, so that Bedard, has he been playing in the preseason? This was back in like September. So, but I'm like, yeah, it's Connor Bedard. No, Connor
The
Bedard.
last joke I'll make is we were talking earlier about deadline moves we could afford, and someone threw out the name Parisi, and it was like, whoa.
Hey, he's an unrestricted free agent
I
right
know,
now.
that's what I'm
hey,
saying.
bring him back. Might as well, if we're paying for him, bring him back. I got this damn jersey.
We are
That's what I
paying
wear
him to
every
play
game.
hockey here, so like,
Yeah.
or not to play hockey here, but
Shit, let's just trade for that Sutter guy down in Dallas and make it a pair.
they hate him just as much as we hate him. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. See, like people were giving me shit for wearing my Parisi jersey, and they're like, "Oh, I would burn that." I'm like, "Parisi's fine. I can deal with Parisi." Like, it was Suter that we heard.
He
some
didn't
things
cross-check
about,
Kaprizov
So, yeah,
in game
exactly.
two.
So,
Yeah.
I'm fine with my Parisi jersey for now.
Well, Joe, we really appreciate you coming in, man, and you do a great job on the radio. Like I mentioned, it can't always be easy when the team is tough to keep the energy, but no, we really appreciate you coming in and everything you do for the team.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun. Really love working in Minnesota. Great fan base. Organization's treated me awesome. Like I said, Tom Reed's a beauty. And so this is what I aspired to do, is to get to the NHL level. It's been everything I could have imagined. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate your guys' work, and I love the youthful vibe that you guys bring out, but at the same time, like grinding away from a grassroots level. I was telling you before we jumped on, like it's impressive. So keep up the good work. I follow along as much as I can on Twitter.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
it. All right, folks, welcome back to It's a Bit. Awesome interview with Joe O'Donnell, hearing his story, talking Wild. Great dude. Make sure to tune into KFAN if you're listening to the Wild game, and listen to Joe. Crush it. But all right, let's close out the show with drafting. What is it, the way we're wording it? Drafting the best things to do when it's negative temperatures?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're going to do a snake draft, and it's going to be 3 rounds, so we each get 3 picks. So I'll give it to you, Jake, to determine the drafting order, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Ding, ding, doo, 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 doo,
Ding,
ding,
ding.
ding. With the first overall pick of the best things to do in negative temperatures draft, Wag selects.
Go on social media and share pictures of your weather app and say something along the lines of, "Wow, it's really cold out today, guys." Dude, whenever, that's all I ever saw, like the whole weekend. I've just refreshed someone else taking a screenshot of where they lived in Minnesota and saying, "Look at the feels like temp."
Or the Snapchat or Instagram filter that shows the temperature.
Yeah,
and it
that's
says
huge, yeah.
-5.
Yep.
And then it's like
people are
it's like-
outside.
and they're outside.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like, okay, you got the mail today. Congratulations.
All right. Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo. With the second overall pick in the best things to do in the negative temperature draft, producer Cam selects.
Watch sports, especially because normally when it's freezing outside or below freezing, it's like great sports season. So there's always something to watch.
Yeah,
It'll get you through it.
You also don't have to feel guilty about sitting on the couch for
Right.
an entire day. Whereas, if it was nice out, you could be like, oh, I could be out skating or I could be, hanging out with my friends. But when it's this cold out, then you don't feel bad about being like, I'm going to hunker down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo. With the third overall pick and the best things to do in negative temperatures draft, I myself, JJ, select ice fishing because you have no risk of getting stranded on the ice because everything is intact.
There you go.
It actually is better negative.
It is.
Because
You have your heater, you're inside your house or your
and
tent.
the fishing's typically better. It's the best time
Yeah.
to actually fish, and you have no risk of no ice is safe, according to the DNR, 100% safe, but safer, I should say.
Yeah.
Don't fall into negative temperatures though, because then you're done. All right,
It's over.
Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo. With the fourth overall pick in the best things to do in negative temperatures
You
draft.
just say with the 4th overall pick.
Oh, okay. Bossman selects.
Get drunk.
Yeah, that's great.
Simple. It's just as simple as that.
It keeps you warm too.
That's the thing I do miss about. I know we all don't live together anymore. That's one thing I miss about having roommates is when it's so cold out or there's like a
just get
snow
shit-faced.
blizzard. It's like, all right, someone get a case of beer on their way home. We're getting fucked up.
That's
tonight.
what Donnie and I do.
I remember
exactly.
Every Wednesday.
Jack and I's fraternity days, whenever they had a snow day and they canceled class, someone would get on the intercom and it'd be like 8:30. Class is canceled, boys. Beer's downstairs.
Yep. Or like if,
was
if
so
you,
much
if
fun.
you need something from the liquor store, text this person. They're going on a run.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna risk their life to get to Happy Harry's to snag 12 cases of Busch Light for underage people.
And some peach cark.
Yeah. I mean, that's everyone asks how we survive the winter here in the Midwest. We just get hammered.
Remember, Jake, we have officially switched to snake drafts.
I know. Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo, with the 5th overall pick, Bossman selects.
Starting your vehicle 30 minutes early. Like an aggressive amount. So early to the point where you're scared of the initial start that you let it go and then you start it again because you're like, I don't think it's hot enough in there.
True.
Dude, it's somewhat unrelated, but like one more, as my senior year of high school, like my parents would start my car before school and then they'd go to work. One morning I just fell asleep. I did not wake up till 11 a.m. and I actually woke up to my dad screaming, I fucking started the car at 6 a.m. And it's like 11 a.m. now, right? He was so pissed off.
It's just out of gas by that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
That's
All right.
funny.
Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo, with the 6th overall pick, I myself, JJ, select throwing hot water outside to show how cold it is.
I had that on my
to
list.
show
Yeah,
off
I did
how
too.
cold it is to live in Minnesota. It
Yep.
just literally turns ice. It actually is fucking cool, and it impresses me every time. Every time I see it, I forget about it. 1 year goes by, I'm like, oh, that's cool, even though I just saw it last year. You know, but people post viral videos about it, and it still looks fantastic. It's a cool thing, I guess.
It's science, Jake.
Science.
Bill Nye could explain
Yeah.
that one to us.
Bill. All right. Ding, ding, doo, 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 doo. With the 7th overall pick, producer Cam selects.
Play video games, specifically like old video games. Like I was just talking about with NCAA Football 14. That's what I did last weekend because it was freezing outside. I didn't want to do shit besides that.
Can't you just do that in the summer too? And haven't you done that just in the summer?
Yeah.
Well, I have, but this gives you an extra excuse and you don't have to feel like a piece of shit doing
Okay.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to be a piece of shit. All right.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo. With the 8th overall pick, Wag selects.
Might be a little controversial. I'm going to go with outdoor puck, and my reason is growing up, whenever it was anywhere below 0, no one else would be on the rinks. You and your friends, if you did show up to the rink, you had the rink
You're
to
right.
yourself.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to go with outdoor
Well, and
puck.
when as long as your face is covered and you're
Wear
moving
ski
around,
mask, yeah.
then you get so warm from sweating
Yeah.
that you feel fine.
Yeah, as long as you keep moving too and you wear like just the right amount of layers, like if you overlayer and you sweat too much and you stop, that's going to turn to ice. So you gotta be
Yeah, real
careful.
quick.
Wear gloves like under your hockey gloves if you're wearing hockey gloves, and then face covering and
Yeah, but
bundle up. You'll be good.
Some of my best time playing outdoor puck happened in
Yeah.
negative weather. So
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Just
And you
'cause
won't
there's
get
no one show-
you won't get slushy ice.
yeah, you'll actually have decent ice.
It's great
There's
ice.
actually
Those
nothing
ice
more
fishing.
dangerous and worse than that than when you hit a corner and you just go flying.
Yep, you hit
So-
concrete. Yeah,
Yeah,
sparks fly.
Exactly.
You don't want that.
So if you can suck it up and get out there in negative temperatures, it's some of the best.
Yeah.
ODR, I should say.
Yep.
All right. Was that the 7th?
Yeah, it's the 8th, so I'm going the 9th.
Yeah, you're
next.
on the 9th as well. Okay. Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo. With the 9th overall pick, Wag selects.
Kind of goes along with what Jack said earlier, but I'm going with Irish coffee. That's just the perfect thing to have on
yeah.
a freezing day. Just a coffee, some Baileys, whatever cream, Irish
on my
cream of
list.
choice. And yeah, man, it's a great way to just sit down, watch whatever, and just get hammered on coffee.
I said I have a hot cup of Joe with not necessarily involving alcohol, but just having like a hot.
You have a cup of
Cup of
coffee.
coffee,
We can
like-
do what your old man likes to do with the Gopher tailgates. Have coffee with like butternut.
Butterscotch schnapps. That's with like hot chocolate.
Oh, hot
but he has
chocolate,
done
yeah.
it
So
with
good.
coffee. It's fantastic. It's way too good. All right. Ding, ding, doo, 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 ding, doo. With the 10th overall pick, Cam selects.
You guys mentioned a couple outdoor things. My last one is go outside because this is Minnesota and we're not pussies. Like, just don't change your plans. Do whatever you were gonna do and suck it up.
But that goes against like everything that your first two picks.
Yeah, you can have
This-
both. You can have both.
This should actually call out the Kansas City Chiefs fans who
Yeah.
allowed tickets to get down to $30 for a
Yeah,
playoff
just
game on
go
Saturday. That's
outside.
insane.
If Minnesota was still outside, the tickets would still be just as expensive.
Hundreds of dollars for a
Yeah.
playoff game because
Yeah.
we would show up.
We would. It would have been fantastic. We would be like the Bills fans
Yeah.
in the game against the Steelers.
Jumping off of ambulance onto
Gosh.
a table on fire.
I miss not having that because we could easily have that in atmosphere in Minnesota if
Yeah.
we didn't have that indoors. US Bank Stadium's great. Don't get me wrong, but
I found it hilarious that they moved the Bills game for public safety reasons from Sunday to Monday, right? Or was it
Yeah.
Saturday? Yeah, Sunday to Monday.
Sunday to Monday.
And
It
the funny thing is about the Bills fan base is they actively try to kill themselves at every game, and no one's doing anything about that.
It was clearly more because they would have been broadcasting a game that no one could see.
yeah.
Because if you sat in the stands during when kickoff was supposed to be, you can't even see the field.
Yeah, I remember a lot of I think the NFL even posted a video on their main social showing what it looked like just
Yeah.
in the morning before the game. Now there's no fucking way, but
The funniest thing too was there was a Steelers fan whose video went viral of him saying, "I'm standing in downtown Buffalo. It's totally fine here." And then a newscaster a couple hours later went to Orchard Park where where they actually play. They don't play in Buffalo. They play in Orchard Park, which is a suburb that I think is about 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was just shitting on them.
Yeah.
It snowed there, and he goes, "Hey, buddy, yeah, it's fine in downtown Buffalo. This is Orchard Park. This is a whole different place. It's kind of like here. It might be snowing in St. Paul,
But back in Tonka, it might not be.
Yeah,
so.
which is it was crazy. It's just crazy how they get that. They get like that lake effect, right?
Yeah.
'Cause they're on. Are they on
Lake
Erie
Michigan.
or are they Michigan? Yeah,
Or no, Erie.
they're close.
It'd be Erie or
Yeah, they're
Haas or
close to
whatever.
one.
Some
of,
lake.
They get that weird weather, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Ding ding doo 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 ding doo. With the 11th overall pick, I myself, JJ, select sitting in a hot tub.
Oh yeah.
Remember that back in the day, like
And then leaving for a minute and
Yep.
then running back in.
Yeah, it
Roll
was-
around in the snow.
Yeah, it's one of the best feelings. It's fucking great. It's like taking an ice bath, but then you can immediately get back in like a hot tub or hot thing of water, and it feels fantastic. I love
Yeah.
doing that. All right, doon ding doo 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 ding doo. With the final pick in the best things to do in negative temperatures draft, Bossman selects.
Catch up on TV shows and movies that you've been meaning to watch all fucking year.
Yeah.
Because it seems like in our busy lives, like when there's sports, especially when all of our teams are playing, there's always something to watch between the Wild, the Wolves, the Vikings, whatever. And then, in the summertime, you can be outside golfing or, doing yard work or doing whatever else outside. This is that time of year, especially once the NFL season's over, to where there might... Cam, stop shaking your head at me. I don't care
The
about...
Loyola Marymount plays Brown University.
I don't give a flying fuck about college basketball. I'm sorry, I don't. But there's like that time of the year where if the Wild and the Wolves aren't playing and there's no other real NHL games or NFL or NBA games on that I care about, I'm going to turn on that one movie that I meant to watch 8 months ago, and I can finally watch it. That my list on Netflix that I've been filling the entire year, I finally have a reason, because I'm not leaving my house, because if I do, I will get frostbite in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I also would throw like podcasts in there too, like
Yeah.
a podcast I haven't seen in a while or something.
YouTube videos that you've been meaning to watch
Yeah.
that are longer.
Yeah, that's the beauty of living in Minnesota is you can still enjoy the winter outside, but you don't feel guilty about staying in, because I get that a lot. If like it's the summer, it's a beautiful day, and I'm just sitting inside, I'm like, I gotta enjoy this weather. Like I gotta enjoy the
Right.
outside elements. But in the winter, it's like, well, you can't so
Right.
much when it's negative 10.
Yeah.
So
All right, well, that just about does it for another episode of It's a Bit, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to tune in to all of our other podcasts by going to 10ktakesmn.com and clicking the Listen tab. You can also read all the latest blogs we have on the homepage. Visit the shop on there. Make sure to follow us on all socials at 10ktakes, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Jake's opening a granola bar right now. Good for you, Jake. Those are good ones, by the way. Those Nature Valley
protein.
ones. Yeah.
they're very good.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for listening and supporting 10,000 Takes, and we'll see you next week.